Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Spitballin'. I'm Matt Taylor here with my good buddy
Kyle Amundsen.
That's his only role, is to say that. And look pretty. How you doing, Kyle?
I'm fantastic. How are you doing, Matt?
I am tired as fuck.
I'm a little tired, too. It was a long weekend.
It was a long weekend. I worked last night at the bar here, and, it's fucking, Lakes Jam, right?
Yeah.
And there was a wedding. Seth Dowd's sister, Jessica, got married out at the farm in St. Matthias. So Aaron called me and said, I'm going to be out of town on Saturday. You think you'd be fine working by yourself? And I'm like, oh my God, I'm sure I will. I mean, it's going to be just so slow because, you got all this shit going on. And no problem. So then I decide that I want to do like this mojito special. So I
saw that.
Yeah, so I did these blackberry mojitos, which, take about 3 to 5 minutes a piece. It's a process. You got to muddle and shit. We got our fucking ass kicked from when did the fight start? Then
Early, yeah.
Pretty much until they were over. I mean, I got hammered the whole time. Probably I ran out of everything. I made 70 mojitos. Thank God Rob stopped in and jumped in to help me out. But I mean, I was out of glasses. I was it was one of the craziest shifts I've ever had. So I am dead dog tired today. But
that's Rob Lou,
Lewis,
our host here.
Yeah, our patron. So that said, I got to watch the fights last night while muddling a bunch of mint. So I didn't get to really, really watch. I did get to see Mo's fight.
I did not get to see Mo's fight either.
So I got to see Mo's fight. I pretty much just ignored everybody during Mo's fight, but it was short.
Did get to see it.
I got to see Mo's.
Oh, I thought you said you didn't get to see it. Yeah, I missed that one.
So I got to see Mo's fight, and it was awesome.
First round knockout.
He,
nice.
It was pretty cool because he fucking punches so hard. But he punched the guy staggered, hit the ground, got on top. Guy ended up getting back up. Mo punched him again, and he staggered, and then he fucking caught Mo, and Mo just about dropped. And I was like, oh shit! And then he went like this, and then that big dumb son of a bitch just hit him again, and then it was over. So that was a pretty awesome finish. And then Tony's fight, I probably caught about a quarter of it. And it didn't look good. And then one of the guys that was here who watches the fights and knows everybody, he was like, I think he won. And I was like, what? Oh, crazy. And then, but no, come to find out he didn't win.
Well, yeah. That kind of pissed me off. And
you thought it was not a good decision?
Well, here's the thing. If his opponent's name was not Damian Maia, if that fight went exactly the same, but that was Joe Blow with 10 fights under his belt, Tony wins that fight every fucking time.
You think so? You think it was a bad decision?
Oh, I think it was a fucking horrible decision.
So again, I didn't get to watch it, so I would need to sit down and watch it in its entirety and be objective. But then I went online today and I read the account on SureDog or whatever, and they pretty much said that Damian controlled the first 2 rounds, and then 2
rounds. First round, I'd give him that, but keep in mind, my perspective is a little different. Matt has been studying Jiu Jitsu for 20 years. I have been throughout my life a lifelong dabbler. That's never committed to any discipline and just never put in the work. But that usually makes a difference when people look at fights. So you look at Damian Maia, and Tony, I felt like Tony, I would have given Tony the second round, and definitely the third round.
There's no argument about the third round. I mean, it was pretty dominant. That's what I heard.
And I did see online that a lot of people thought that a lot of people had a problem with the ref's stoppage while Maia was in mount. The ref, Vance Seward or something like that.
Yeah. So Damian wasn't actually in mount. I read about it too. Yeah. So he was in. He was kind of in mount, but he had he had a leg triangle on. So he's like, his legs are wrapped around Tony's legs, and he's triangling his legs, which is a super, super dominant position to like hold from, but you can't do anything. You're locked.
Yeah.
You can't go on from there. So
And
you can just sit on top of a guy forever. It's
and
almost
people
impossible
hated
to get
that,
out of.
You know, like that Vance stood him up. But I think, you know, you need to keep in mind that we're talking about, you know, like Damian Maia, you know, okay, he's one of the all-time greats. You know, but he has a reputation as a boring fighter that'll kind of lay on you. And, you know, like, and as far as, so I do have, said I don't have any jiu-jitsu. I have a little bit of boxing, and I'll tell you this much. One of these, every 10 seconds, is not a punch.
Right.
That's just
So-
trying to like look like you're staying busy. And I totally agreed with him standing them up. I mean,
And
it
they
was
were like
bullshit.
punches to the like ribs and whatever.
Yeah. I mean, Tony took no damage in that whole damn fight.
It was
And-
and it's a little technical, but it's actually a pretty important difference between mount, which is when your hips are above their hips. That's an escapable position. So Tony in that position would have the opportunity, if he did the right things, he could get out of that position. Okay. Now it's not a fun task to do, but he could. But in a leg triangle, it's a lockdown position. It's almost impossible to escape from. But it's also really hard to do any major damage from. So basically, Damian was the one in that, and again, I didn't see it, so I'm gonna have to watch it. But Damian, is the one in that position who had the onus to move the fight forward. So I would agree that standing up in that position would have been correct.
Yeah. You know, like, you know, from that position, you know, like Tony's taking no damage. You know, people were mad about the ref standing them up. But I mean, you know, what was he going to do? Like transition to like reverse cowgirl? Because he would have done as much damage that way as he was like, you know, as it was. And it was
The very technical jiu-jitsu position of reverse cowgirl.
One of my personal favorites. But yeah, that I think I felt like Tony won that fight. Am I biased? Yeah, I'm probably fucking biased, of course.
Interesting. Okay, well, I'm
but-
glad that you said that, because I don't know if I would have done the work to go back and actually watch it, because I don't typically like to watch when my friends lose. But now, knowing that, I definitely want to take another look at it and see. And I want to talk to Brock and see what he thinks
Yeah,
about it. Brock's usually pretty objective and can tell me whether or not, you know.
Well, you know, and for me, the takeaway, like, I hope, you know, I'm sure Tony's probably beating up on himself, you know, like fighters do, you know, like he probably feels like he doesn't done enough. I feel like, you know, I feel like he did do enough, and he should have won that fight.
This isn't I don't think this will be a huge loss for him career-wise, though.
No.
I mean, Damian Maia's got a great record and has, you know, beat a ton of really good people. And, you know, he got a split, or not split, but you know, he lost a decision to Damian Maia. That's not the worst thing in the world for you.
Right. And I mean, if you look at, you know, like, look at William, I feel like Tony came to fight. I feel like the takeaway from the whole evening is Brock's guys came to fucking fight. And I feel like, you know, Tony came to fight. It looked like Damian Maia came to sneak away with a win, you know, like.
I mean, he's
like,
kind of got a
to the
reputation
judges,
for that, you know,
Yeah.
of the lay and pray kind of thing.
You got an exciting fighter versus a boring fighter. You know, not to take anything away from the great Damian Maia, but I mean, shit, you know, like, you know, what do the fans want to see? And really, like, I sometimes I question the way that, you know, the way that they score. But I mean, whatever, it's not my place. I'm just a fan. But yeah, that's
Interesting.
that's
Okay,
all.
well, I'm going to definitely have to take another look at it and talk to Brock about it, because that's a bummer if it, you know, it didn't sound from like what I read that it was really up for debate, but if it is,
Yeah, take a look. Let me know what you think.
yeah, I definitely will.
There was also a fight on that card that I wanted to give a nod to. It was guys at 155. It was, let's see, Roberts and...
I'm just so excited he's going to put his cheaters on. The cheaters are going on, folks.
Oh, yeah, Roberts and Pichel at 155. If you didn't see that,
I know.
watch that, too.
I
That was,
really paid attention to Mo, and then I just waited for Tony, and I had somebody like who was
Right
going to
on.
yell at me when Tony fought. And other than that, I don't even think I looked up.
Well, yeah,
So-
I mean, we had, you know, like, all, you know, like, some like the guys at the bar and shit, like that are that are getting updates and stuff like that, like not that we were paying any attention to that while we were working, but yeah. So I mean, I would be for Brock's guys for that camp, I would be absolutely very proud of both of your performances.
So what about that 55-pound fight? That was a hell of a.
That was just a good fight, man.
Good fight.
That was I always like it when an underdog wins. And then of course you go to consult the internet for all the experts, and I saw some people say some really stupid shit, and I'm like, did we even watch the same fight? But I mean, how many times does that happen? It's probably what somebody's saying exactly about me, like thinking that Tony won that fight. I think, in all fairness, like
there's only 12 people that watch us, so it's fine.
Well,
3 of them are disagreeing with you right now. So
fair enough. The other 3 are just probably disagree with me out of principle.
Right.
At least. So yeah.
Cool. So what's up with this fucking cunt shirt?
So I've got a lot of nerd shirts. This was a gift from my daughter for my birthday. My beautiful, charming, funny, wonderful daughter, the princess of my universe. She and this was appropriate because fucking everything's appropriate. Whatever. My daughter's cool. But gets back to like Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones, like rewatching that whole series before the last season, I noticed that the Hound, being one of my favorite characters, really impacted the way I talk. I would say that my usage of the word cunt went up a solid 500%.
Exponential growth right
absolutely, there. Absolutely. So I use cunt a lot now, which is all right. I'm okay with that.
And if you're not, well, you're a cunt.
Probably a cunt. Then as soon as that was over, though, I started watching. I binge watched Deadwood, which didn't do anything to improve. Maybe it is an improvement.
Yeah,
whatever.
right.
I swear more. Okay, but you can't watch Al Swearingen at the Gem. You can't watch a scene with him without hearing a lot of cocksucker and cunt and F-bombs and shit. And I'm like, and I come away from that. I'm like maybe that's why people don't want their kids watching that stuff.
I noticed it when I read when I was reading like the Gunslinger books. I would start like taking on like shit that Roland would say, and I even to this day sometimes I say thank you, Si, because that's what he says in the gun, and it's like and a lot of people are just like what, and then I'm like doesn't matter, but. Every once in a while, somebody will get it, and it's just like that's always cool. Or I use grok all the time, from Stranger in a Strange Land. I'm like, I can grok it, and most people just look at you like you're dumb. But then every once in a while, somebody's like, I can grok that too.
Well, there's a few movies out there that I used to tell girls like when I'd start dating somebody new, I'd be like, well, if you want to understand
the litmus test?
You've got to watch
Oh,
these
you're
movies,
talking about the litmus test.
You'll never really know me unless you watch Big Trouble in Little China, for one.
Right. And I'm gonna watch it with you, but I'm really gonna watch you watch it.
Right. That shit is important,
right.
And like Jack Burton, like there's a big chunk of like Jack Burton, like in the makeup of the person that I have become. I quote Jack Burton all the fucking time.
Now,
and Lopan, this really pisses me off to no end.
I heard somewhere they're coming out with a sequel for Big Trouble in Little China, but not a reboot, a sequel. Have you heard nothing good or bad?
Well,
or in
no.
between?
I mean, just the fact, just when I heard it, I just don't expect good things. I mean, like, how are they going to improve on? I mean, or even come close to,
I mean, a reboot, I am completely against.
Absolutely.
Worst idea ever. A sequel, I mean, if they get, Jack to come back and he's all old and shit and cool, I mean, it could be great.
I mean, maybe, but, like, look at, I look at other movies where they've done that and stuff. I mean, I just have such a hard time with sequels and stuff. Look at like Highlander is one of my favorite movies of all time. Highlander 2, like I still have it. If I ever fucking I can't really talk about it. It's too painful.
I mean, Conan the Destroyer. I mean, best sequel of all time.
Fuck.
Oh my god.
Ouch.
It's horrible.
There's just it's really It's really bad, but probably still, but better than the reboot, the Jason Momoa.
I didn't even watch
Conan.
it. Yeah, no,
Well,
I didn't watch it. No.
yeah, stay away from that fucking turd.
Yeah. No, you can't.
But-
You can't improve on perfection, which maybe is a point of Big Trouble in Little China. Though now, I think it would. I mean, I guess Arnie's a little. It might be a little too old, but if you came out with a Conan the King, and starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I mean, it could be pretty great.
Well, when they made a Call the Conqueror movie, I think they used what's his name, Kevin Sorbo or whatever.
I didn't watch that either. Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah.
I mean, that's treading on some sacred ground right there.
Yes.
Robert E. Howard. Well, just one more sequel thing. I did see a preview for the new Rambo movie, and I've liked every single one of them. I mean, I thought they were great, as well as the Rockies.
Kids.
I think
the Rocky movies. I can't.
It was only just like I don't know 5 years ago because remember Sylvester Stallone got busted for having HGH in Australia when they shot that. That was like a big deal. I used to send that link to people all the time when they would talk shit about HGH, because I mean he came out as like the fucking ambassador for HGH after that, and it was amazing. He was on the Today Show talking about it. It was fucking amazing. He's like, I don't understand why everybody's not on this, and I thought that, what was that one called? Wow, who fucking knows? But, Rambo. And I thought it was great.
I don't think I saw that one.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's
I
really
didn't
good.
love the Rambo. I mean, I loved First Blood.
Oh, yeah, First Blood is one of the best movies ever made.
But I was not in love with those movies. I didn't have the love for them that I have for the Rocky movies.
But for the Rocky movies?
Yeah.
Because every single Rocky movie has been great. I think. I mean,
It's true.
fan-fucking-tastic. And then I just watched, I haven't seen Creed 2 yet, but I mean, I thought even Creed was... Did you watch Creed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have not seen Creed 2 either.
I haven't seen that yet, but I heard it was all right. But I thought Creed was great. Yeah, I was like, I cried like a baby.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
wonderful movies.
Yeah, I like the one. I think it was called Balboa. It was where he went and fought he fought the match against the current champion, and was just like it was like a exhibition match. And
was that the one that Tommy Morrison was in?
I don't know anybody else.
It's a fighter that I followed for a while, but kind of a turd. But yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, what else did you have on your list? Kyle actually took notes,
actually,
so
I
I gotta
prepared this time.
I gotta allow him to.
Well, yeah, I've kind of been putting it off. But that Kelly Thomas thing, we touched on it last
Okay,
time.
yes, let's get into Kelly Thomas.
So, the reason I bring it up is it's been 8 years. So, Kelly Thomas, just to recap, was a homeless guy suffering from schizophrenia. And he was homeless, living on the streets, and he was killed in Fullerton. He was beat to death. There was 6 cops, and had 2 of them, officers Ramos and Cicinelli. They were charged with like second-degree murder and a couple of other charges. They got off, of course, and but it was like if you watch the video, I listened to the audio the first time, and because I listened to it on NPR, and I heard the audio, and like this kid took this like sustained like 9-minute beating, and it was like you watch the video too, like you can see the guy is not, he's not a threat. But the 6 guys, the 2 in particular, Ramos and Cicinelli, like Ramos was already threatening him and being a tough guy and stuff before, like he ever went hands on. And they beat this fucking guy to death in the street. Now the guy had a lot of run-ins with the law. Like 16 years prior, he'd pled down on a assault with a deadly weapon charge. And I don't know what the background is on that and stuff. But yeah, so for like, he'd had 92 run-ins with the law over the years. But he's living in the street, and like there was for trespassing and stuff like that. The stuff that the trouble that homeless people run into.
Right.
And most homeless people have mental health issues and stuff. I mean, that's what happens to them, sadly. And if you listen to the audio, you can hear this guy begging for his life and screaming, like begging these guys to stop, begging for his fucking life, and he keeps yelling for his dad, who was a retired Orange County deputy, and just and being a father myself, I'm like, because mental illness can reach out and touch anyone's family,
right?
And all I could think about was like, what if that was my son? And the first time I listened to that, I cried like a baby, just thinking about my son and how that could be him, that could be any of our sons, and like that kid just begging for his life and begging for his dad, help me. Ugh. But that shit just, that it affected me. And I've followed that case ever since, because it's always, there, now that like a couple of years ago, the Cicinelli guy, like, he wanted his job back, since he, but they lost a big civil suit. But, like happens in most of those cases, criminally, they didn't do anything wrong. They beat him to death. If you just Google Kelly Thomas, Fulton, or Kelly Thomas,
beating,
yeah,
we'll
any of that
get it.
shit.
Yeah.
You'll be like, pictures will come up and you will see what they fucking did to him, and there's no fucking way. Like a lot of times, like I'm not anti-cop, and there's a lot of times that you can say, well, like we don't know the full situation, or like this could have happened, or if you put yourself in their spot, not this fucking time, not even just a little. All right, look at it, and if you can tell me that, man, fuck you, I don't even want to hear it. Okay, maybe I do want to hear it. Whatever, we'll argue. You're stupid. It'll be easy. But yeah, it's not one of those that it's pretty fucking cut and dried. It's very simple. They fucking murdered that guy. They beat him to death in the fucking street because they're fucking animals. And
how did it get recorded?
I think the video was like security camera.
Okay, so
but the audio is good. The security camera footage, I don't know. But yeah, I've watched the video, and and if you watch the video, you can see like the lack of, like, was he resistant? Yeah, he probably struggled a little bit, in the beginning, but once
there
they
were
crushed
6
his
guys with clubs.
Yeah, like with this scrawny unarmed kid, that is just begging for his fucking life. Yeah, no, not a threat, and that was July 5th, 2011. 10 days later, July 10th. 2011, his parents had to make the decision to pull the plug on him. So also, if you're a parent, you can imagine how fucking great that was for them. Like I said, I'm not anti-cop. I've got a lot of great friends that are cops. I've got one friend in particular that's very close to me. And you know what all these guys have in common? Besides the fact that besides the fact that none of them would beat a fucking guy to death when he was no threat, while he begged for his life. They're here in Minnesota, and I don't know if you know this or not, but here in Minnesota, this is the toughest place to become a cop in the country.
Really?
Our standards are the highest, and I think maybe some other states ought to kind of follow our. We don't have a lot of these issues and stuff. Like, yeah, shit happens here. Like things happen here and there, and and people that should not be cops sometimes, like they make it through, but usually they get weeded out, because they get weeded out because they work with a lot of guys that are good dudes. And I think that around the country, maybe people should look at what we do here in Minnesota. That's why we wind up with a much better quality of law enforcement than a lot of these places. But
I don't even think that what we do in Minnesota is enough. I mean, like, I feel like being a cop is being a police officer is one of the hardest jobs out there.
For sure.
And we don't pay very well for it. I mean, like...
Well, and we blame them for stuff that, sometimes it's just the fucking law. Like, sometimes, like, if that guy can't give you a pass every damn time.
Right. Oh, right.
And,
I mean,
there's a lot of laws that we disagree with, and they might disagree with them, too. It's just that it's part of their job to not tell you, like, yeah, this is a fucking stupid law,
I know many cops, one current and 2 now retired, and and that I love, that are friends of mine, that I love,
absolutely.
and that I like, trust and would trust with my life.
Yep, all the respect.
But
Guys
I
that
gotta
you want
tell ya,
showing up when you
that
call
mother-
911. These are the guys you want. to
Any
show
one of
up.
those motherfuckers behind me with their lights on, and I don't like them at the time because that scares the shit out of me. And
why does it scare you?
And the thing is why does it scare me? I don't have any drugs in my car. I haven't been drinking. I have insurance. I have a license. I'm not in. I don't have any reason to be afraid, but I get a immediate visceral reaction to like, oh fuck, and it's dangerous. Like, my heart rate goes up. I mean, I might get shot. I don't even know how long ago it was. We were working on putting together the performance compound in St. Cloud, so 5 years ago, and I was on the way back in my Astro van, and I got sideswiped. It was 2:00 in the morning. The dude went across 4 lanes of traffic to sideswipe me at 60 miles an hour. It was awesome. Blew all the windows out of my van, sucked all my tools, went all over the road. Ugh, it was horrible, and I still miss that van so much. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about here. So call Brock, of course. Why wouldn't I? So he was still at the gym. He comes and pulls my van off of the road with his shitty little car. And
I'm surprised you used a car.
True. We looked at it. I mean, it didn't have a back tire at all. Like, we couldn't find it. Not just the tire, but the whole unit was gone somewhere. But I had just put tires on the fucking thing. So this is the story. So Brock gives me a ride home, whatever. I borrow a truck from the farm, and the next day I went down, trained in St. Cloud, and then on my way back, so it's midnight. I'm like, I'm gonna stop and get my tires, switch my tires out, right? Because I had other tires, so I was gonna get it towed, but I didn't want to send it to the junkyard with 3, because the 4th one was still not around. But I didn't want to send it to the junkyard with 3 brand new tires on it. So I'm switching the tires out, and apparently somebody called the police on me because they figured I was stealing tires or whatever. Okay, whatever. So I drive off, and 5 minutes later, I'm getting pulled over. I'm like, oh, shit, I'm not speeding. What's going on, whatever. Now, nothing bad to say about the officer. He was totally fine. But he was pretty sure he had a bad guy, right? I mean, he got a call about a dude in the middle of the night literally stealing tires off of a truck on the side of the road. And I'm like, oh, shit, I'm getting pulled over. And I pull over, and all of a sudden, big loudspeaker, put your hands outside of the vehicle. Oh, shit, nope, not just getting pulled over. More than likely going to jail, probably getting shot. I'm like, God damn it, Arlene, is this truck stolen? I was like, what the fuck is going on? So, yeah, I mean, the guy, and the thing is, he came up to the vehicle. He was ready to shoot me, I'm totally, I mean, like, I'm not criticizing him. He probably did everything right, but, he was incredibly amped up. His hand was on his gun. He was watching me. I mean, if I would have reached down to look for my insurance, I would have got shot. And thank God I'm white, because
I do every day.
Right. I mean, like, and I'm not kidding about that. Like,
Kidding.
Just that one more added level to that, and I might not even have made it out of that situation. First of all, I probably, if I wasn't white, I might have had enough common sense to not go get tires at midnight in the middle of nowhere. But on the other side of it, it's like, I didn't do anything wrong, and I was in a situation where I thought I might end up getting shot, and it was just a really tough situation. But I know they got a tough job. I know it's a tough job.
Oh, yeah,
it's
a
dangerous
like that,
job.
I mean, damn, you don't know what you're going to get.
Right.
Like, I mean, people ambush them and shit like that. I mean,
Absolutely.
You can't take anything away from how dangerous their job is and what they do to keep us all safe.
But we don't. But they don't get paid very well. They don't. They aren't required to do a high level of schooling, and there's not a large requirement for ongoing education. And those, I think, are real issues nationwide that we need to solve. I think that police officers. Now, I think there's some separation here, because you start looking at, like, what are they called? traffic nannies, no,
like
state
meter
troopers.
maids and shit?
Yeah, no, because like that's a little bit
Man,
different thing.
You had to bring up state troopers.
But when you're on the ground police officer who's doing that day-to-day grind, I mean, I think you need to be paid like a maybe not a doctor, but like a nurse practitioner. You be making a living wage, but you also need to have a fairly significant amount of schooling. You need to go to classes on not just on how to shoot people, but classes on how to interact with people and psychology and sociology and all of this kind of stuff. And I think that'd be great. One of my good friends who I'd love to have on the program, I'm not going to mention his name because I don't want to speak for him, but super great cop in Brainerd. Everybody knows who I'm talking about, Troy Rifles. And he does classes of about lowering de-escalating. That's what it's called. Yeah, absolutely. About de-escalation and stuff. And I've had many talks with him about that, and he's like, that's so important, and we just need to have more and more of that because
and we're like Minnesota is like kind of like just way ahead of the curve on a lot of that stuff, and
but there's still like
I work with a lot of these guys pretty closely, and I mean that shit's always
the guy who had the license to carry at was I can't remember his name. Shame on me. Should have done some research, but. My sister's screaming it at the screen right now, so I'll listen. But right, and stuff happens, and I'm not making an excuse for that situation. But Minnesota's kind of a leader in that. Is what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wish some of these states would catch up because I swear some of them it's like, hey, well, that was a grueling 6 hours of training. Here's your gun.
Right.
I mean, okay.
Right.
But
I know at one of these points we want to have Josh Carter on the program.
Absolutely.
And Josh is one of the other people who was a cop. He's retired now,
Yes.
but who's a person that is a close friend of mine who I love.
Yep.
And I'd like to talk to him about this issue because I think he would have some things to say about it. I don't want to speak for him, but I know back when we used to train jiu-jitsu together, he would train, not just jiu-jitsu, but he would train gun retention shit, where he'd have a plastic gun in his little holster, and then it would be like our job to try to get his fucking gun from him. By the way, that's a bad day. It sucks, man. Having Josh whip you in the head with a plastic gun is no fun whatsoever.
Josh is a tough fucking guy.
Yeah,
in every way.
But he doesn't get to do anything. He just has a gun. All he's got to do is try to get his gun out of his holster, and you're the one who's trying to attack him. Oh, no, it's no fun, man. He grabs that gun. He would elbow you and he'd hit you with the gun and he'd come up and it was like, I never get to win. This sucks.
Yeah, and I work, I work pretty closely with, some of the local law enforcement, at my bar, and these guys are wonderful. They come to our aid, all the time.
Right.
Because you have to call the cops more and more. Working security in a bar, you can't handle stuff yourself anymore because these are such litigious times. You're going to get your ass sued. So anytime you have to go hands on or whatever, you call the cops. Every year we're calling the cops more and more because you have to cover your ass. And it's and these guys these are just like our friends and neighbors and stuff. These are like everyday guys, and they just choose to do a job that puts them in harm's way to keep the rest of us safe, so I'm like I said, I'm not anti-cop at all. I just want. I just wish that it was like a lot of these states, like I said, kind of raised their standards and stuff, kind of to match ours, and there is, kudos to those guys, and thank you. But and there's more stuff that we could do. It's a tough job, but we can make it easier and safer, through all kinds of different
Absolutely.
ways. But yeah. So there's that Kelly Thomas thing.
Yeah,
and
go check it out if you have the heart for it. I don't. I still
tough.
won't follow the link. I don't even watch movies that are sad. So.
But that's about all I've got.
Good.
Do you have anything else?
Well, I wanted to talk a little bit about what we have coming up. So the rest of the show. So Kyle and I are just meeting here to do a preamble for the rest of Brock Larson Part 2.
Where Brock talks about actually teaching the reverse cowgirl technique.
Actually, he doesn't. We get into some a little bit darker stuff. Brock talks about kind of what happened when there was the rift between him and Jared. And it's a story that I don't think many people have heard in its entirety, especially not from his perspective. And it's a little painful to listen to. But it's kind of cathartic, and I think you'll enjoy it, or not. I know you had some trepidation when we talked a little bit about having Brock on in the first place, just because.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy for me though, because I'm like more of a like an outsider looking in, and I have I have a lot of respect for I've got a lot of respect for Jared Fairman.
Yeah, for sure.
And I've got a lot of friends that go there.
Right.
I think he's a great I think he's a great coach. And I keep all these kids that I know that have studied with him and stuff. I think you'd be hard pressed to find like any of those kids that would not say that they are better off overall, like as a person and stuff.
Sure.
For having and maybe they would have that experience with with another instructor as well. It's just that I just feel like going to jiu-jitsu, like he's a good. I feel like he's a good coach, good instructor, and that I would recommend that to anyone's kids. You want to put your kids in something that's gonna boost their like confidence and self-esteem, and like fitness. Look at jiu-jitsu. Right. But you have a lot of friends that still train with Jared.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends that still train with Jared. To me, it's kind of like having being the child of divorced parents. Sure. Right. And in this case, Brock got full custody of me in the divorce. So, and my loyalty is with him, and I mean, he's my best friend and so on and so forth. But, anytime there's a divorce,
it's Brock,
right. But anytime there's a divorce, there's always a whole story that goes along with it. And this is kind of the story that unfolds. So it'll be interesting, regardless. It's a little long, so bear with it. And then the next time we meet, we are going to have on PJ Severson from
Restaurateur
218. And what's the other place he just is opening up?
Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah, we don't do research.
No.
And we don't have the internets. But it would be awesome to get PJ on.
And I am like, just this morning I was thinking of stuff. I'm like, I was watching the fights. I'm like, there's so much stuff I wanted to ask Brock, and I totally forgot. Like, so sometime in the near future, we should have him on again.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And maybe Tony and maybe Mo.
Yeah, it might be a little difficult to get Tony on because he doesn't really. But we could go to him. I mean, we could meet up with him in St. Cloud, do it at the gym or something.
Yeah. We look for we haven't done any anything on location yet, but we're going to. That's in the works.
I wanted to talk just briefly, and then we'll get into Brock. But we switched mics again.
Yes, we did.
So
which is awesome.
I was really excited about Brock was our third guest. So was our second guest. So our first guest was Thargnar, and it was a fun interview. It went really good. But one of the problems was that he was sitting in between us, and every time he'd talk, he would just start doing this thing, and so it was a little hard to like hear some of the audio parts. So I did some research on it, went out, ended up getting 3 headset mics that I was super fucking excited about, and I forgot that Kyle doesn't have a normal size human head. He's actually got the head of a Neanderthal, which went extinct 10,000 years ago. I don't care, Shelley, when they actually went extinct. They went extinct when I say they went extinct. They actually went extinct 40,000 years ago.
Joe Rogan would tell you that's why I can really take a punch.
It's because you have a big fucking head. Cranium.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it is a big head.
So
those microphones, like I like them. I like almost everything about them, but that shit like bit into my damn head and it was super uncomfortable.
So while you're watching
the microphone like only came to like there, so
so the audio, which I tried to fix, but so while you watch this interview, watch how painful Kyle's head is, because when he took that fucking thing off, he had grooves in his head, and he's like, I hate these. So we're back to these microphones. We're going to try to figure out what to do when we have a guest. We might end up putting the guest, as long as they're in a big-headed motherfucker, in the other one. But we'll figure it out. We have growing pains because that's the way it is. when you first start out a podcast, but it's been great. The response has been great.
Love you guys. Thank you for all the feedback.
Couple of things we have now. We have a website. Kyle slaved away on it day in and
so
day
hard
out.
on this thing.
So we have a website. It's spitballingpodcast.com. There's not much on there other than just links to all of our episodes and stuff like that. Coming up, though, there's probably going to be more. I'm sure at sometime in the future we're going to start merchandising all of our stuff. I mean, when you are this fucking sexy, you should probably put your face on stuff. That's what I think. So, so that should be coming up at some point.
Look for those Matt and Kyle sex dolls.
Oh,
you can buy them in a pair.
Yeah. Well, they only come in a pair. Yeah, we're in this together. And then there's also links to all of our social media stuff. But we also have like official email addresses now, so you can get a hold of each one of us. Kyle at spitballingpodcast.com and Matt at spitballingpodcast.com. I'll actually check my email. And
instead of just when we're at the store, I met a friend of yours yesterday. Before I had that road incident and chased that guy.
Facebook friend?
Well, I was no. I think he's a real life friend of yours.
Oh.
And I'm at the store, and I'm like, see this guy watching me. He's looking up and he's smiling, and I'm like, I don't know this guy. Big fella, handsome guy. And he comes over and he's first thing out of his mouth is, I watch your podcast.
That's so awesome.
So it turns out he's a friend of yours, and his lovely wife actually works with my lovely wife.
Awesome.
And his name is Rob Freelove.
Oh my God, Rob Freelove. Yeah, I used to train jits with him forever ago.
Yeah. He's a teacher at one of the better schools in the area.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was great, and I'm like, oh, it's nice to meet you.
That's awesome.
I'd
love to. I haven't seen him in 5 years. That's great.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Oh, fuck it. I want to ask about this road rage story. You had mentioned it just briefly before we started, and I told him to shut up because I feel like whenever Kyle and I start talking to each other, he says like stuff that I wish he'd just not say until we get in front of the microphones because the stuff's so funny. So I'm like, shut up. I don't want to hear about that until we get in front of the microphone. So what happened with this road rage?
Like this road rage thing is
you've been doing way better.
Yes, absolutely.
Because
I've got my I've got a lot of good stuff going on for me.
And this time of the year, like traffic is really mellow and mild, so you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, driving around here is fucking horrible, and it's as locals, you're like, a lot of us drive like shit. It's fucking horrible. Then when all the snowbirds are back and the tourists are
you add 150,000 people to the area, it just gets a little more congested.
But yeah, yesterday, I'm coming off a frontage road. It's a three-way stop. I'm coming off the highway onto this frontage road, and I've got the right of way, but this guy decides to leave his stop sign and just, hop out in front of me, and I have to lock up my brakes and shit. At which point, I turn and look at him like he's a fucking idiot, because he's a fucking idiot, and he flips me off. It's this dipshit with this like white polo, this fucking ridiculous looking Magnum PI mustache, probably in his 50s or something, driving this.
He was a police officer?
No.
Ooh.
Right?
Well, he had the mustache.
Why the fuck would you have that mustache?
Huh, weird.
I mean, he might have stolen it. Maybe he was an off-duty cop. I don't know. But he was probably in his 50s or something, driving this little Infinity SUV thing. And, he fucking flips me off. And I'm driving my wife's car, which people pull out in front of left and right because it's a little car, But I just gassed up. So I know I can fucking follow this guy to Canada if I have to. I mean, not that they'll let me in, because I don't get to go to Canada anymore on pain of death, and which is weird because they don't have capital punishment there.
Right.
It's a long story. It's for another day. So I flip a bitch, and I'm following this guy until, my wife, the good influence on me that she is, she's always the voice of reason. She's like, look, he's got a kid in the car.
And I'm like, she was in the car.
Yeah, she's sitting right next to me, and she's like, he's got a kid in the car. And I'm like, she knows how to get to me. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to fucking follow this guy and beat him mercilessly in front of a child, unless I'm beating him with a child.
Well,
those things are tough. Grab one by the leg, makes a great weapon in a pinch. But, And she's like, besides, he probably already called the cops. So I'm like, okay, he's got a kid in the car, and I don't know, whatever, like I'm not gonna follow this guy, and fucking just so that I can, probably get arrested. So I start turning off. What does he do? He waves at me. Like, okay, yeah, so I kept doing what I was doing. I turned off. I went to the next store and stuff, and did my shopping, and played it cool. And played it cool is what I did, because if I'll recognize that fucking guy. I don't care where I see him. Like, if I see him in the supermarket, I don't care. I could see him in a goddamn nursing home visiting his old sick mother, and he's gonna fucking get it.
So just if you have a Magnum PI mustache, you might want to shave it right now. Actually, that's just good advice, regardless of whether or not Kyle is trying to find you.
Yeah,
if you have a Magnum PI mustache, just shave that shit off. If you're balding, shave your head.
Yeah, and don't if you fuck up in traffic, if you're the asshole, don't flip somebody off because you're a fucking asshole. Because then you deserve to get the shit beat out.
You do this.
Right? Or like,
it's a universal symbol.
But not this. This says beat the shit out of me.
So I don't think I told this story, but I obviously don't get road rage. I did tell you the one time where it was in the bank parking lot, but that guy was a fucking asshole.
And a compulsive rule follower.
This was because I do not text and drive anymore. I almost never. But I used to be bad about it. And I was at a stoplight and I was texting and whatever, and I rear-ended this guy, and I look up and he looks up and he waves me over, and I'm like, fucking get over to the side road, and I'm expecting him to be an asshole about it, because it just sucked. Didn't really hurt his car. I was driving the Jeep, and my Jeep, you can't hurt it, so he pull over, and I'm like, man, I am so sorry. I was texting, and I'm an idiot. And he goes, oh, I was too. And I was like, and he goes, I thought it was my fault. And I'm like, hey, let's make a pact right now to stop, to not text and drive anymore. And he's like, yes, let's make a pact. And we do the whole this kind of arm shake. This thing, dude, this man,
which is
shake,
more
brother.
meaningful.
Yeah, and that was it. That was probably 4 years ago. Now, that's not to say that I've never picked up my phone before. After that point, but I mean, it's down 99%, and yeah, because I feel like I made a promise to that man, and plus I fucking rear-ended him, and I was a total asshole. So you can do it. Stop texting and driving, and if you fuck up, just say you're sorry and say you're an idiot, and then do the weird arm shake thing.
Yeah.
Do the weird arm shake with people.
Which is underused anyway.
Underused, yeah. 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 We should get the arm shaking back.
I have a lot of different handshakes, and I'm going to add that to my repertoire for sure.
Oh, absolutely. That's the best one. So I like that one, and then I like this one too. I like the regular old handshake with the arm clasp. This is always.
And by the way, we could do a whole fucking episode on this.
This is actually, yes.
Web to web, all right? Don't cut the guy off.
Oh, yeah.
Any of that shit. And don't do the cold fish.
The cold fish, yeah. Nobody wants that.
Web to web.
So actually, I don't know why the fuck we were talking about this, but I had some advice one time of when you're going in for a handshake, you want to point your finger like you got a gun. So you go in, and then that'll get you deep.
That's solid.
So that finger's in deep. So we'll have actually this is going to be something available on the website. We're going to do a 300-hour how to do a correct handshake. It's only going to be $999. So a bargain at any price.
I've actually got something on my phone right now that I could, that we could put up. Although it's from a website, I don't know if we can use their shit, but it's brilliant. It's about a proper handshake.
Well, we can put a link up to it. We can put a link up to anything.
No, I'll have to find it because I just stole the picture off their Facebook.
You are a thief. I know you are a thief because
I am a thief.
The thing you posted, you put out today about it's hot and be nice to check on fat friends.
Check on your fat friends, yeah, because it's hot out and shit. Yeah, I stole that.
Yeah, from Darren Losses. I like.
I always tell people I'm gonna steal this. I don't ask. I'm like, hey.
So it was funny because I was scrolling through Facebook and I saw it. I thought, oh, it's fucking funny. And Kyle's not fat. He's just got a humongous head,
and a little fat.
And then I was like, and then scrolling down, and then my buddy Darren Losses has the same post, and I was like, Darren, you dick stealing Kyle. Oh,
No,
Kyle
totally
stole
the
this
other way
post
around.
because there was on there. Kyle says, "I'm totally stealing this shit."
Yeah, well, and that's because I love Darren. Usually I'd be like, "Fuck you, this is mine now, my meme," Pay the iron price for that shit.
So Tharg, we gotta wrap this up. But Tharg, who was our second guest, who was awesome. He bought a scooter. He got a motorcycle, and but he got an awesome helmet. Yes, and it's the
Rebel Pilot.
It's the Rebel Pilot Rogue One Rebel Pilot, and Darren put a post on Facebook saying, "I spotted Rogue One." Was it Rogue One leader or whatever? He had the right fucking name because he's probably as much of a Star Wars geek, more of a Star Wars geek than I am. And I just thought it was pretty funny. But yeah, so if you see a guy riding around in a Rogue helmet, that's Tharg.
That's Tharg.
Yeah. Speaking of Star Wars, last thing I'm gonna say, and then we're totally gonna get into Brock Larson. But I am jealous of all of Kyle's awesome shirts. And I don't actually shop for clothes ever, like other than well, there's a story behind it, bitch. So don't be giving me that look. So I don't buy new clothes. If I shop for clothes, I go to like Savers or bargains on Sevens or whatever. Yeah, it's amazing. But I mean, like I buy all my clothes used, and I other than band T-shirts, I don't think I've bought a new shirt ever. But I was like, Kyle's got all these cool shirts. I feel a little bit like, what do I have? And then. So I started looking through my son's shirts today, and I was like, "Oh, this one's pretty badass. Fucking, it's got like stars all over it and shit, Star Wars shirt." And I was like, "Fuck yeah, sorry, Pates. I'll just put it back, stink and all. I won't even wash it. So it's a gift to you."
Right. And you've raised him,
Right.
He owes you.
I brought him into this world.
Lend you his fucking shirt.
He sent me a message the other day. This is my son's 17. This is the last thing we're talking about. God damn it. My son's 17 and he's driving now. And it's he's got a car. It's an old Chevy Cavalier, pretty bulletproof, but been through hell. And so this is 3 weeks ago. He messages me and he says, "Dad, the spark plug fell out. What do I do?" Spark plugs don't fall out typically. So I call him. He sends me a picture of it, like the spark plug popped out of the engine. Well, apparently whoever put the spark plug in didn't put it in very tight, and I helped him get it back in, like over the phone. He did it. It worked, so whatever. And then I get a message from him, whatever it was, Friday night, that says, "Dad, what do you do if there's no water in the car?" Okay. I'm not really quite sure what you mean by that. Like, you need water, like whatever. And then I get another, and I said,
"We're not talking about radiator, right? We're talking about."
Yes, we're talking about radiator. Okay. So I'm like, but that wasn't what I went to right away. I was like, "No water in the car. What's he talking about?" Wow. And so then
You're thirsty?
I messaged him and I said, "What do you mean water?" And he goes, "It's hot." And I was like, "Fuck." So I call him and I'm like, "What do you mean by hot?" And he's like, "Well, that thing where it goes, it has C and then it has H, and he's like, it's pegged on the H." And I'm like, "You're not driving, right? You're not driving." And he's like, "No, I'm pulled over." He was pretty smart about it. And I don't think he did any permanent damage, but it's like, it's just, I love having him have a vehicle, but God damn it, man. We got to go through maintenance 101. So that'll be the next thing.
Yeah, I better sit in on that because I'm still pretty damn ignorant when it comes to vehicles.
Really? I mean,
I'm not a mechanical man.
I'm not a great mechanic, but you got to know how to do the basics. Okay, so thank you again for tuning in. We are gonna have just a quick blip, and Brock Larson will be up, and then next week we'll see you with PJ Severson. So
right on.
Stay tuned.
And don't be expecting. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, jump right on that.
We'll be coming off 4th of July weekend and stuff like that, which will be ridiculous for me anyway. I'll be half asleep. I might, shit. It's gonna be brutal, but we'll be here.
You'll be fine. It's fucking 3:00 in the afternoon. You can do it.
Oh man, yeah, but it usually takes me a while to recoup after. It's this whole week and shit like that. It's gonna be some 15-hour, 12-hour.
Man
shifts
up,
shit,
pussy.
Yeah, man. That shit takes a psychological toll on you though when you're dealing with drugs.
All right, well, Kyle's gonna keep babbling, but all right, we will see. We will see you next week. Good night. All right, welcome back to Spitballing. I'm here with my good buddy
Kyle Amundsen.
And Brock fucking Larson.
I'm Brock. These guys are clowns.
That's true. So, all right, the last thing that I really wanted to talk about. I had several people bring this up, and I know it's something that you and I have talked about, through the years. And a couple of people asked, and I don't want to bring up who they were, but people want to know what happened between you and Jared.
Between me and Jared. Well, where do we start?
I don't know, the beginning?
Well, it starts back at Harrison Elementary School.
Jesus Christ, let's go way back.
Okay. We knew each other back then. We weren't close. Obviously, we were little kids, and he was obviously a year ahead of me, and but I knew he was. And then as we grew older, had some common things together. We had a really common friend, Chad McKay, who was a good friend of mine, grew up with, and really good friend of his. And so we knew each other. We started to know each other really well, and a lot of Black Bear, a lot of party spots we hung out. The Pines, and through our high school career, we knew each other fairly well. And then randomly one day, I'm working at Anderson Brothers, and get a phone call. He's wanting me to help him with his wrestling, because he was in martial arts in Rute, and thought he had a pretty good handle on the striking part of it, and just needed to know some groundwork. And there was this crazy shit going on with these Gracies and this UFC thing, and he bought some videotapes of Jiu Jitsu.
Okay.
And he didn't really understand what was going on, as he'd never grappled before. And so we decided, okay, yeah, let's do it. He wanted to fight, and I was going to be the coach. 'Cause at that time, I'm coaching wrestling. And I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, I'll help you out, whatever. We end up going down to the Franklin Junior High and using their wrestling room just to spar and try this grappling jiu-jitsu stuff out. And he wasn't very good at it. And I just wrestled. And I would get on top and squeeze his head really hard, And so then we had Mark Franzen, who was kind of our head coach. And he was a really high-level karate guy. And
Franzen.
Franzen, Mark Franzen, Sarah's dad.
Okay. I have no, but
Lisa's ex-husband.
oh yeah, okay, all right.
So then it just started, and then we got videotapes, and this is before the internet. So, you couldn't just Google.
The internet wasn't always a thing for.
Yeah, there was this shit called dial-up, and if you wanted to watch a 5-minute video, it took you 5 hours.
Right.
And jiu-jitsu was actually kind of a kept secret.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's totally a thing. And it still drives me fucking crazy when people are trying to have their own little style and oh, don't go train with it. If you train with somebody else, don't show them my secrets. It's bitch, you've been on the fucking Googles. The Googles know everything.
There is no secrets.
There are no secrets.
There is no jiu-jitsu secrets. There's some techniques, and but what makes you good is training. Yeah.
Right.
And
number of hours on the mat, period.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay, so you're at Franklin.
So we're at Franklin. We're doing the thing.
You're wrestling his head.
And we think we're pretty tough. We don't really know. We pick a fight with a jiu-jitsu school, and Jared calls him up and says, "Hey, can our school spar with your school?" And they're like, "Well, you could, but we're having this submission tournament next week. Why don't you guys just do that, and you can play with everybody." It was at the Kali group, and the place that we called was Minnesota Martial Arts Academy.
Oh. I mean,
and
not a very well-known school. I mean, they were just the school that eventually like farmed
Produced
Sean Shirk,
Brock
Lesnar,
Nick Thompson,
Jake Volkman,
Dave Monet, Volkman, myself. I mean, we can go on. Yeah, but I mean, we don't know. There's no internet to even know who they are.
Right.
So we go to this jiu-jitsu tournament. We both compete in it. I win. Jared wins. We think we're the shit. And meanwhile, we decide, we talk to these guys at Minnesota Martial Arts Academy, and we decide we're going to go down there and train with those guys. We drive down there, and we literally believe that we're going to go down there and beat the shit out of them.
Okay, so you go and you compete at this tournament and you win.
Yeah, we think we're great.
Right. And what year are we talking about? How old were you?
It would have been around.
Get it closer to your mouth. Yeah.
Would have been probably. Well, I started training when I was 21. So, what's the math there?
So what? Mid-90s?
It would have been
23 years ago.
Yeah, 1999. I graduated in 96.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense because the Eclectic Cafe opened in 98.
Yeah.
When did you get married? Come on.
2004.
Okay, so this is quite.
I hope for your sake you got that right.
Is that right?
It's 2004, yes.
2004.
January.
So it's quite.
January
So you
3rd.
were
So
you
started
were
training
doing
20
this.
years ago.
Yeah.
So you were doing this already in 99.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay, that's a little bit before I thought you were.
No. Yep.
So 99. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
I only remember. It's another story. But yes. The reason why I specifically remember 21. Anyways, so we do that. And we go down there, and we're driving down there, and we've got this whole thing figured out how we're gonna just kick their asses. Well, I draw this little midget. He's probably 5'5", and they're like, "Oh, you're gonna roll with this guy." I'm like, he looked pretty strong, but I'm like, man, I fucking run him over, man. I'm fucking Brock Larson. I got fucking second state of Minnesota wrestling. I'm fucking beating up all these guys in Brainerd. I'm pretty fucking tough, right?
I used to not go to parties that I knew Brock was going to.
I got destroyed. This little fucking hobbit of a man, we later found out his name was Sean Shirk.
Right.
And he's pretty tough, and he was, really freaking good. He'd squeeze my head and choke me over and over and over again. And then I rolled with this freaking long-legged freaking guy named Clint Kloss, and he kept fucking triangle me and armbar me. And I moved on to the next guy, Tom Schmidt, and same thing. So I had this crazy muscle shirt guy who would get on top of me and just humiliate me. I would throw these other two long-legged sons of bitches on their back and just like try to just choke them, and they'd fucking break my arm. They'd be fucking choking me with their legs. That's when I realized what jiu-jitsu was, not the shit we were doing in Brainerd. And so then once I realized that, then I was hooked. This other stuff was too easy. Like what we were doing, it was just too easy.
You're like, I'm good at that.
Yeah, I mean, like,
No problem.
Don't even have to.
Right, there's that thing. There's that like magical moment when you realize like, oh my God, I don't know anything.
Yeah. I'm bigger. I'm stronger. These guys. What the hell's going on?
Right.
So it was so then I was hooked because I can't let these guys beat me, get the best of me like that. Well, they did for a very long time, but then it was great.
You and Jared would drive down to Minneapolis, train at the Minnesota Martial Arts Academy.
Yes.
What, twice a week?
Yes, and we would train at the wrestling room. I would go. Actually, the reason why I still have the jiu-jitsu schedule the way it is, like if you go to St. Cloud, it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, because the academy and myself their schedule was Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So ever since time of existence, I've trained jiu-jitsu. Them have been my jiu-jitsu heavy days because of Minnesota Martial Arts Academy.
So you're like, it's Wednesday, I have to be training jiu-jitsu.
Right. So every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I would go down. Now, in between there, you know, we get back to the Jared Brock connection. We would go to these other tournaments, these little tournaments in Wisconsin, wherever we could find a grappling match, because we were good and we knew what jiu-jitsu was now. And we were starting to understand how important guard was and how not to get stuck in there and putting our arms. I mean, we were starting to figure it out. So we'd go to these little tournaments all over. We'd go to Fargo, where they had the Taekwondo guys were doing jiu-jitsu, and we'd go in there and we'd fucking show these Taekwondo guys how good we were. We'd go to Wisconsin, we'd beat up those guys. It was great. But Jared's second tournament, I went in and I won. Jared lost. And at that point, everybody realized that Jared couldn't compete. He vomited, he puked, he lost. And he could not handle, one, the pressure, and two, the getting beat. And that, figuring that out and realizing that, looking back, a lot of things make sense. So we got that. So we realized then, and at that point, he's like, Brock, I'm gonna be the teacher. You're gonna be the athlete. You're gonna be the fighter. You're better at this than I am. I can't do it. You going out there, you're wrecking these guys. I can't do it. And it's like, okay. So from that moment on, it was Brock was. But fighting wasn't in the picture yet, and I was like, "Okay, we'll do this."
You were the sword.
Yes, I was the guy. I was that guy. And then we decided to open a school in Brainerd. And I say we because Jared didn't have any money. I didn't have a lot of money either, but I was working at Anderson Brothers, and I was making fair enough money. And we opened up this little ghetto place in downtown Brainerd. I mean, it was very small. And
it was the Kome Dojo.
It was the Kome Dojo. And I drove all the way to Madison, Wisconsin and picked up some second mats. They were brand new mats, but they were misdyed. So they were like purpley and black, and they didn't get colored correctly. But we got them for dirt cheap. I paid for them. I went down there and I got them in my truck, put them in my truck. Me and my brother.
And they're like the 1,000,000-pound mats, too.
Yeah. And we drive back, and we put these mats down in a 24 by 24 fucking section, and we open the doors.
This is where I started.
And it's kind of like, and then right away, we decided the school's going to make it. We need to know. Jared has to be the teacher, and I had to be the enforcer.
Right.
So from that day till the end, I was always the enforcer. Anybody came in, I was the guy that showed them what was up, and Jared was the boss.
Right.
So
let's put a pin on it. So we're talking about a 24 by 24. A 24 foot by 24 foot space. It was in the downtown mall in Brainerd, Minnesota.
Yeah.
It had mats on the floor, and then the walls were actually plywood.
We had furred them out a little bit so
Yep.
the plywood would flex.
Yep. So the plywood flex with PVC pipe cut in half on the top, so that you wouldn't rack
Cut
your
edge.
head on the side.
So it'd be a sharp edge from the plywood.
And everybody who signed up got a number. Right, and my number was 36, so I was the 36th student of the Kome Dojo. I don't think there's anybody who currently trains, other than Brock and Jared.
Yeah,
that was before that.
No, for surely not.
Yeah. Few, I mean, yeah.
No,
I can only name a few after that, but
right.
Yeah, that even had numbers. But anyway, so 36.
Yeah.
So
then we established this Kome Dojo name, and it was something about the higher road or
yeah,
something
yeah,
like
it's
that.
the high
It's
road, yes.
Cryptic freaking shit, right? So, and we start doing that, and then they fucking they're saying, Brock, you got to take a fight. I'm like, no. I'm like, no. I'm getting destroyed every day by a real fighter, which was Sean. I'm like, I can't even. No, it's impossible. I can't fight. I'm not a fighter. I can't win a fucking round. You mention a fucking fight, and they're like, no, Brock, you'll be fine. Shirk is a special human being. I'm like,
At this point, he's already fought for the UFC title.
Yeah, not the title. No, not that time yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
no.
By the time I met him, he had already fought Matt Hughes, but
Yeah.
he was definitely like
Yeah.
on the run.
Yeah.
For
And so, I'm like, no, Brock, you should just take a fight. Just try it. Do one fight. So, I get a hold of Bruce Nelson, who's throwing these fights. Well, first I had Brad Kohler guy, but I had to pay him to fight. I'm like, well, this is stupid. So I run into this Bruce Nelson guy, who's a great
From
guy.
Fargo?
From Fargo.
Yeah.
Still a good friend of mine. And
I have a Bruce Nelson story I'll have to tell at some point. Remind me, Bruce Nelson.
he there's a benefit for him. He's got cancer. I have to make sure I go to that July 19th. So I get a hold of Bruce Nelson. We get a hold of him, and he's like, yeah, I got a fight for you. We drive all the way to Fargo to take this fight. It was actually Ada. It was Ada.
Ada, that tiny ass little
Tiny little town. Yeah.
I dated a girl from there.
Yeah.
It's a little ass, like, there's like nothing. I mean, it's a little town.
Yeah, it was at the fairgrounds. Anyway, so we go there. My opponent, Josh Hartwell, who was a state runner-up wrestler, who I had coached against because he was from Alexandria, who I'm supposed to fight, doesn't show up. I'm like, oh, fuck. And then Bruce is like, sorry, dude. He didn't show up. I don't know where he is.
So these are this is in the days where there's no commission.
Right. There's no commission.
No commission. There's no doctor.
And he's like,
Was it in a ring? Was that one in a ring?
It was in a ring, yep.
In a ring, yeah.
And he's like, I can't give you your $50 because you didn't fight. I'm like,
Your $50.
so I'm like, all right, no big deal. Turn around, we drive all the way back home. Well, meanwhile, I get another call from, oh, geez, I'm just drawing a blank. He is the Iron Man, Travis Fulton.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, yeah, I heard you were going to fight.
Travis Fulton,
he
was a fighter. He had 70, 80, like
200.
fights, 200 fights. But he would literally go
He's got the most fights in any. And it'll never get broke. He's got 200 some fights, 250 some odd fights. And
we saw him at the Target Center or
he's fought for
whatever
me before.
together.
Yeah. He actually just fought Shannon Rich.
He's still fucking fighting?
Yeah.
Was he 70?
He won, too. He fought Shannon Rich and beat him, which, I mean, no surprise there. But anyway, so he's like, I got your number from Bruce Nelson. I've got this guy, Josh Hartwell. We're having fights in Alexandria, his hometown. Do you want to still fight him? I'm like, oh, fuck. I don't know if I want to.
Well, he's definitely going to show up at his hometown.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, let's do it. It's at the Armory. I'm like, okay. Show up at the Armory. I get there. I'm nervous. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what's going on. And
I have this video, by the way.
I'm like, okay, I'm here. I need to weigh in. He's like, we don't have a scale. I'm like, well, how do you know that we're close to the same weight?
Maybe.
He's like, well, what do you weigh? I said 85. That's what we're supposed to fight at. He's like, well, your opponent's about the same. I'm like, so we don't have to weigh in? He's like, here. Picks me up. And he walks over to Hartwell, picks him. He's like, yeah, you guys are about the same. I'm like, all right, let's do this. And
okay, so I think that's what we need to go back to.
Damn.
Exactly.
I was just thinking, I'm like, that's actually kind of funny.
Right, not bad. Just have Kyle pick you up. Yep. Yeah, you're heavy. Oh, yep. About the same as heavy. Yeah, perfect. All right.
Heavy's heavy. Let's go. So we fight. We're in the fight, and I'm nervous, and I didn't tell
So
anybody.
you and Jared go up there.
Me and Jared.
Yep.
And I believe Bruce.
And that your wife and a bunch of other people, right?
Yes. I only told the cousins and my brother. Like I didn't want a lot of people there because
27 people.
I was really thinking that I was probably gonna get embarrassed because my experience of fighting a fighter was Sean Shirk, and that motherfucker beat my ass. So I'm thinking this is gonna be embarrassing. I'm going in. I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know. Not that confident that I'm gonna fucking win, but I know I'm ready to fight, and I know I'm gonna give this motherfucker all I got. We get out there, boom. I jab him in the face. He falls down. I jump on his back. I hit him. He taps out. 30 fucking seconds. I'm like, this shit's easy. I just beat a state runner-up fucking wrestler. All I had to do was punch him in the face. He fell down. Easiest takedown I've ever had in my life. Fuck it. Then I was hooked. And so.
Okay, so that's the first one. Okay, I don't have that video. That's one of the videos I don't have. I don't think.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't think you do.
So
either.
anyway, all right.
I think you do. Because you remember when Megan gave you those videos years and years ago?
Brock.
Like this. Yeah.
I got the best memory in the world.
But do you remember she gave you those and she gave you the ones at Spiker's Bar and Grill?
So what I'm thinking about is when we did the thing for the Ultimate Fighter. And we did all of your fights, and we did the comment, and that was like kind of the chrono. It was every fight we had of yours.
Remember when commentator was saying the rabid fans? You got that from Joanne. Joanne had cut a bunch of fights together. Remember? Anyways, that doesn't matter. So I win that fight, and that's when the fight thing. I decided, okay, this is fucking great, and then I started fighting. So we start this journey together, Jared and I, and we make this agreement. He's like, I know you bought the mats, and I know that we're in a partnership with the school thing, but I think it's best if you be the fighter and you be the face of the school. I'll be the instructor, and I need all the dues to keep the place open. I'll run the school, but you'll never have to pay anything. I'm like, perfect, fair enough. At that point, it's like we're in it together. He's gonna do this. This is my role. We both got roles. We're partners. Granted, I'm not getting money from the school, but I'm gonna start making $50 a fight. So shit's going great, right? And so we start going, and I start, winning some fights, and the school starts actually getting pretty big, and we got people moving to train with us, and I literally have my whole goddamn family training with us. My brother, my cousins, even my females, my aunt. My aunt was teaching kickboxing.
Yep.
And at the school, and it's actually starting to fucking make money and be real. And we've got a lot of fucking people that we don't really know.
And then we move that at this point we're moving into the new spot?
Not yet.
Okay.
So this becomes to actually kind of be a business. Jared is now quitting his job at the bookstore. He worked at what was the bookstore in the mall? The bookstore. And so now he no longer can go down to the cities because he's got to run the school, right?
And at this point, have you guys gotten your blue belt yet?
Jared probably got his.
You didn't get it?
We didn't get it. No, I got mine like 3 years after Jared did.
3 years?
It was something like that, yeah. I was a blue belt for like 6 years.
Yeah,
white belt. I was white belt for like...
You were a blue belt when I started training. He was a blue belt.
No, I wasn't.
You were a white belt?
Yeah.
I don't remember you getting your blue belt then.
Yeah. No, I was a white belt for probably
were
2
you
years after
Were you a blue belt when you got married?
Probably.
Yeah, because I only started training.
No, I wasn't. Probably not.
Okay.
Yeah, I was probably a blue belt then.
I think so. When I started training, I think you had just gotten your blue belt.
Okay, that could be. Who knows? But he had a blue belt before me, and I think it was. And I think looking back, I think there was some political stuff. I don't know honestly if there was political stuff behind it or not. But so, anyways, so Jared's pretty busy with the school, and so now I'm the only one going down to the academy on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, because now I'm thinking I'm pretty tough and I need to train more. So I had a pretty good gig. So I'd work at Anderson Brothers, and I'd get laid off. So all winter, I would use my winters to fight. So I'd kind of maintain what I had learned, and I'd train in Brainerd. And then in the wintertime when I get laid off, I'd head down to the academy and I'd train and train. Then I'd bring all that information back, and I'd show Jared in the back in the side room. I'd be like, "This is what we did today." Ooh. He'd get it down and he'd drill it about 1,000 times. Then he'd teach it.
And no two ways about it. Jared Fairbairn is a incredible athlete with a mind that can just absorb information like
what would take me 3 weeks to figure out. Like, he would get frustrated with me because I'd be like, "Oh, I don't remember how to." He's like, "You gotta write this down." I'm like, I'll find out on Wednesday, and so I'd go back and we'd get that, and he'd teach it, and then we'd do it, and it worked out so good for me because I could go down there and I'd learn this shit, and then I'd get my ass kicked, and then I'd come back and I'd show it, and then I'd drill it again, and then I'd be able to beat the shit out of the Brainerd crew guys, and use it. So it was like I'd get killed, I'd get smashed, then I could come down here and use it because it's all new to them, and so it worked out really well. And so all winter, that was kind of the system. Boom, boom, I'd come back. I'd say, "Jared, check out this shit's called a Kimura. This shit, you grab their wrist and you fucking bend that shit around their back. It's fucking great," you know? And, so that was kind of the system. And it was working, and we'd go to fights, and then I was winning a shit ton of fights, winning every fight I fought in, and then about somewhere in between there, we met this guy named Rob Nelson, who was a karate guy.
Okay, so the gym was in this little 24 by 24 space. Then eventually
we expanded. Yes.
We moved to this. I don't know, it was probably 30 by 120 big ass space. Totally, really nice.
Right.
Gome Dojo.
Beautiful.
Then we meet this guy, Rob
And
Nelson.
before, we were teaching yoga. Matt Rohr was teaching yoga in there.
At that point?
Yeah.
Could have been.
Yeah, before Rob took it over, yeah.
Okay.
So Matt Rohr was teaching yoga. My aunt was teaching some kickboxing. And Jared was doing jiu-jitsu. And I had a bunch of the wrestlers coming in. And that's when Andy Pickar and Dusty and all those guys were in there. And Matt, oh gosh.
Albrecht?
No. Matt Albrecht was there from the beginning. But Matt,
Matt Albrecht. It's one.
Matt, he was there forever. Blue belt. Why am I forgetting Matt's last name? His sister is Erica Wolf. They live right by the Green Lantern. Highland. Thank you. He's adding value over here. Adding value over here. Yeah, Matt Highland. God damn. And
Connections.
so it was going really good. I mean, it was making money, and who freaking knew, right? And so Rob is successful karate in Cross Lake.
So Rob Nelson does USA Karate, and he knew Clint Kloss, because Clint Kloss, who is a black belt in jiu-jitsu, who used to beat the piss out of Brock for years.
Still probably would.
But also does USA Karate. So somehow that got connected to Jared, saying like, "Hey, there's this really fucking cool jiu-jitsu school in Brainerd. A couple of students like do that. Get them connected." And Rob is like,
well, because Pat Worley, the founder of USA Karate, wants all of his instructors doing jiu-jitsu. So that's when Rob started to train with us. And then now Rob's interested in purchasing Gome Dojo. He then offers Jared, I think I can say the number, $85,000 for a school.
Which is really nothing more than some mats and an instructor. There's no actual
no equity in it. We're renting property at a downtown freaking gym, and we got mats, which half the mats are mine, the other half aren't, and but it buys this $85,000 idea. I mean, that's really what it is. It's just the idea. Nobody's under contract. So it's not like you can buy the contracts and be like, oh, I got these guys for at least a year. Nobody was under contracts like that. So he buys it, and he's got this place over in Baxter, which everybody knows. You can move from Brainerd to Baxter. It's a completely different world. And everyone's thoughts, this is just going to prosper over in Baxter because we're kicking it right over here in fucking ghetto Brainerd, the downtown freaking bars scene. And so Jared sells the school for $85,000. Okay? We moved to Baxter. Now, I already have a couple fights in the UFC at this point.
Yeah, that was right about the time you got the Fitch fight.
As I remember, Rob was with us it might have been the Fitch fight. It might have been my first fight. Rob was out there with us. And so we go.
So if you don't know, Brock's first fight was John Fitch in the UFC, lost, and we were like, what the fuck? And the thing is really weird was John Fitch was kind of like our
affiliated with through
Dave Camarillo.
Yep.
Right. So he was like Dave Camarillo's prize student. Dave Camarillo was Jared was affiliated with Dave Camarillo. He had been up a bunch of times, and so we were like, oh, okay, well, it's kind of weird for Brock to fight like John because John's
out
like
of all
the guy
the
that
human
we
beings
want.
in the world,
but they both were offered like this, like, this opportunity. Fuck it, let's do it.
Right, got to fight.
And Brock ends up losing that fight. Goes to the decision. Brock loses the decision. And it was like, it's a bummer. And then John Fitch goes on to fucking win like
8 in a row.
And ends up fighting GSP for the title.
Yeah.
Becoming like a fucking, staple of the UFC. It's like, oh, by the way, he was actually really tough.
Right, who
Weird.
knew?
Who knew?
So then Comey Dojo becomes UMA,
Ultimate Martial
Arts
yeah.
Academy. And then we're all training there. Meanwhile, this whole time, I'm still going down to the academy and still training. I'm training with Damian Hertz. I'm training with Clint. I'm training with Dave Benet. I'm training with Greg Nelson. I'm training with Sean. I'm training with all these everywhere. Wherever I could get bodies and then wherever I can, I'm going. And so all this is going great. Jared gets a ton of money for a school, and he gets paid a salary to teach. So everything's going good. Everybody's happy. Jared's making money. I'm starting to have an actual career of fighting where I'm in the process of making money. Never going to say I made a lot of money in the UFC, but it was going the right direction. I'm just in the process of quitting my job. I hadn't yet. I still had fought a couple fights in the UFC before I quit, but the process is going through my head, how I'm going to do this, and because I don't think I can compete at this level, still working 70 hours a week at Anderson Brothers. So, but we're making the best of it, and so back to the Jared thing. So everything seems pretty good. Meanwhile, I get another fight in the UFC. Jared come out with me, and I've got Clint and Damian with me too, and we go out there, and I win. I win my first fight in the UFC. I beat Keita Nakamura at the Miramar base. It's awesome. Bam. But it was a tough fight because I was working 70 hours a week, and I took it on like 3 weeks' notice, and
as you know from the previous segment, taking a fight on short notice usually
doesn't work out.
But I mean, like that was that fight. Like it was a rough fight. I mean, you won the decision, but it was like
I gassed out the first 3 minutes in. I was freaking exhausted, and I just bit down on my mouth guard and just kept fighting. I don't think I breathed for 15 minutes, but and I got the win, and that's when I sat down with myself, and I'm like, I either gotta fucking do this thing or not do this.
It's
thing.
that Dana White moment. Do you want to be a fucking fighter?
And the thing is, if I hadn't, I always felt like I let myself down from like the college thing with the college wrestling and stuff. So it was that because I fucked up and failed out of school and got put on academic suspension. That's kind of what drove me to compete, because it's like, what if? As I always say, I could have been an All-American. I always say I could have. But who the fuck knows? So at this moment, I'm like, I don't ever want to say I could have fucking been a UFC world champion. So I'm like, talked to the wife, said, look, I'm going to try this. I'm going to take a leave of absence. So the union I still get the insurance, and I'm going to end up getting unemployment for a while and see if this shit works. And it worked out that Joe Silva talked to my manager and asked if I'd be willing to go over to this new promotion called WEC.
Do you remember Joe Silva was like the matchmaker for the UFC back in the day?
And I said, I told my manager, I'm like, whatever you think. He's like, I think it's a good idea. They kind of want you to go out there and help build this organization.
And Brock's manager was a guy named Monty
Cox, yes.
Who
at that point was
managed
the godfather of MMA.
Everybody.
All the champions, 4 of the 5 champions.
And Monty, if you're listening to this, I would love to have you on the podcast. I would so love it, and I will do anything for your old videos. Just saying.
He would. He's always talking about it.
Anything.
So then, now
Kyle
my career
will do anything as well.
starts taking off, and I actually start making a little bit of money. Finally, now this is 18 fights into my career. Before I can say, when I say I start making money, my first fight in the UFC, I made $2,000. My second fight in the UFC, I made $4,000. Mind you, I got a wife and kids, and
these are months and months apart.
That's not real money.
You're paying for training. You're driving back and forth from Brainerd to Minneapolis.
And I got cut. My first fight, after I lost the fish, I got cut. So I was fighting back at these shit shows, and and not making anything. And then when I win the fight, I have to make that decision. So make that decision. That's what I'm going to do. So when I say I'm making money, I'm not making money, but my career is making it. My career is starting to go the right direction. And but the problem was always when I started being on national TV, and if anybody ever followed WEC, it was on all the time. They replayed it, and they replayed it again. It was on the Versus Network, and then later on Spike TV.
IFL.
Yes.
Just a ton of that stuff. And then, of course, all the international stuff like K1.
Yep.
All that, but yeah.
And so.
Lots of good MMA on TV.
I know, it's great. And it was blue. It was beautiful. And I started making some noise in the WC, and I got knockout of the night. Then I got knockout of the year. And as the fucking submission guy here, the wrestler, starting to knock people out. So things were really starting to go. But then there was always this part with Jared that always seemed a little bit jealous. And not so much jealous that maybe that I was in the spotlight. It was more jealous that people started to look up to me, and people started to come to the school because that's where Brock Larson.
This is where Brock Larson's trained. Yeah,
I
remember that very clearly.
And this isn't jiu-jitsu. This is where Brock Larson trained. And it's things started to get a little bit weird. Like he would, when we'd go to Vegas to fight, he didn't want to do anything with us. And my other corners, he started to push away. And he's like, I don't like that guy. Everybody, and he just wasn't interested. And I'm like, so then I started, and then about that same, well, no. So anyway, and then it got to be where I started to not to feel really welcome. And I met a really good guy, Luke Popham, through it. And then we had Kyle coming down and training, Kyle Jensen.
Jensen, yeah.
And we started to get real athletes. And
so Luke
fighters.
Popham is amazing jiu-jitsu guy, but also like a nutritionist, like a bodybuilder. He's a really tough fucking guy. Yeah, and was one of Brock's corners. And then Kyle Jensen, who was another fighter who was from, I don't know where the hell he's from, but
he's from Thief River Falls.
He even moved to Brainerd.
Moved from Thief River
just to be able to train with Brock. So Brock started to get this core of guys that were like, they're Brock's guys. Like, they were clearly like they were training at Komei Dojo or at this time UMA, but they were training there because Brock was training.
Yeah, and me and Kyle would drive to the academy together. And
so this entire time, even though like Jared is the person who's running the school, you're still going lots of other places to learn. You're not like
right. I'm training everywhere, and I'm like I said, I'm training with Dave Monet. He had a core group of guys. The academy had a phenomenal team, and I was going over there and especially training with Clinton Damien doing jiu-jitsu, and then I come back and stop in St. Cloud and train at the boxing gym with McDonough and some of these other guys, and then come back home and finish up my training there. And meanwhile, what I was kind of building for me, because Jared started to like pull away, and at the time I was just thinking he always said he was hurt, always this and always this, and always, which I get it. I mean, you got fucking me fucking beating the shit out of you. It sucks. And so
it does suck. Yeah.
Meanwhile,
it's horrible.
Got
Actually,
this,
it's awful.
My own core. I mean, I got Luke there that's helping me with my diet, helping me with my conditioning. So I'd get back to Brainerd and I'd have my own little team. And not to mention then Brandon Otzel came in, and then we were getting some of these other hybrid monsters from a different era. So then I would be over there with these guys, and Jared would put us kind of off to the side and be like, "You guys go do that over there." And meanwhile, and I get it. I mean, we're fucking meatheads. So this whole thing, and then
so would you say that they're kind of like inside the school, there kind of became a fracture between like people who were like the athletes and there were like the athletes, and then there were like the juju guys. Like it would kind of there was like a fracture.
Fighters and martial artists.
Yes, yeah. Even though yes, that's how it
those
felt.
Things are mutually exclusive, but I mean,
you're right. They're not mutually exclusive, but at the time in the school, even in the school, because of the two groups, I'm not in the athlete group. You know what I mean? But I remember feeling this fracture, feeling this like being like, this is the people that are doing the jiu-jitsu, and then these are the fucking meatheads. Get your rubber band and do your cable shots, dum-dum. Kind of situation.
Yes. And so then I start getting tighter to these guys, and Luke actually starts cornering me because he tell me, don't eat that. Don't put that shit in your mouth. Boom. And he was a great body, and he physically could push me. So I started having him and
Not
Jared.
in a sexual way, but kind of in a sexual way.
Him and Jared, and whoever the other guy might have been. Later, Marty Wagner. Marty Wagner was one of my wrestling coach. And then sometimes Damien would come out. Sometimes Tom's cornered me, Schmitz. So it was, but those two were my two guys that I had. And then there started to be, I still remember this to this day, the first time I kind of seen it. And I've always known that Jared was a little bit crazy. I always thought that I was kind of an exception to the rule. Because we've known each other since first grade. And we were in Kansas City, and we're sitting in the sauna, and I'm cutting weight. And This isn't the first time. But anyways, we're down there, and we're with Fred Edish, good friend of mine, and we were with this other school that Fred set up, and they were working me out, and I was beating the hell out of them. Okay, and I did really well. And we're in the sauna, and Fred's like, "Oh, you really showed those guys, jeez, man, blah blah blah." And I'm not talking, I'm just sweating. And Luke says, yeah, our jiu-jitsu is a lot different, and it matches up well against a lot of people. And Jared got so mad that he said, "Did you hear that? Luke's taking credit for my jiu-jitsu." I'm like, "I don't think that's how it's going down." He's like, "Yeah, it is." He said, "Our jiu-jitsu." I'm like, "Yeah, but Luke's kind of a team guy. He comes from football." And he's like, all of it is kind of one. We're all one. So he's like, "No, he's taking credit for my jiu-jitsu." I'm like, "Nah," and whatever. So that kind of went away, but it always kind of was like, well, because Luke now is kind of my guy. So I got Luke's back too. But Jared's always been my guy. So it's just a little weird. So now fast forward to about the time Matt Taylor decides he's going to come into the picture. This is where things really got weird. So
I've been in the picture for a million years at this point.
Prior to this, Jared was like, he would corner me, he wouldn't corner me, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But well, no, it's about this time. So my career was going great, and but then I lost my first fight in a long time in the UFC. After I got done with WC, went back in the UFC, then I lost to Mike Pierce. That time, now if you remember back when we first started talking about this, Jared couldn't handle losing. Jared does not like it if someone loses. He can't stand it to be in a corner of someone losing, which is still today why I think Kyle Matuzak does not fight, because he was cornering Kyle and he can't stand being behind someone that loses. And I lost that Mike Pierce fight, which was a horrible fight. I mean,
worst fight ever.
I fought a 15-minute fight and never got hit in the face once and lost. It is what it is.
It was a basic. Mike Pierce was an amazing wrestler.
Yeah.
And he just
grabbed my butt
Brock and just held him down for 15 fucking
I sat
minutes.
my back against the fence. His head was here. My back was on the fence, sitting up. I was doing this, and he just kept pulling me back down. I'd scoot back up.
And the ref would be like, "You got to move. You got to get up. You got to do something, or I'm going to stand you up." And Brock would fucking work his ass, get all the way up, and then Mike would just drag him back down. And it was like, just stop working,
If I would have not tried to get up, they would have stood us up.
They would have stood it up, and then it would have been a chance. But it was the worst fight ever.
So Jared was seriously like mad at that fight.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "I don't know if I can do this shit anymore. This is bullshit." And whatever. So, but it's still kind of the same thing where we're doing this training. I'm coming back here. We're doing the thing. And I'm like, okay, I got another fight booked. I'm fighting Brian.
Apple?
Nope, not Brian Apple. Eric Apple. I did fight
Apple.
him. I beat him. Brian Foster. He's like, okay. I'm like, a week before the fight, I'm like, "Okay, dude, I need you to contact the UFC to get your flight. He's like, "I've been telling him this for like a month," and he's like, "No, I'm not going." I'm like, "What do you mean you're not going?" I just don't like fighting. I'm like, "Well, what do you mean you're not?" He's like, "Well, I just can't go." So now I don't have a corner, right? So Marty's still going. Luke is still going. And prior to that, I had Matt Hume in my corner, but it was a short notice fight, so I didn't get out to Matt Hume's to train. And so I'm like, all right, fuck, okay. So Marty's going to take the UFC ticket, and Luke, you're coming out, and now you got another guy. Didn't have nobody. Actually, Jeremy Anderson then, who I was training with at the time, dude, says, "I'll drive out." Because he was going to California. It was a weird deal. But he's driving out, so they're cornering me. Now, I love Wags, and I love Luke, and Jeremy with all my heart. The problem was none of those guys have ever been the head corner. It had always been Jared or Matt or someone else. And it was just very odd. They didn't do anything wrong. It was just like an awkward thing. It's like, hey, Brock, maybe we should do this. Or let's do. It was they weren't. They were unsure of themselves.
There's definitely something about having like a really experienced corner. I mean, in my one fight at Brock's retirement fight, Tony was kind of my lead corner. Brock and Tony cornered me, and it was just there's something about having a guy who holds the mitts for you and just can dial you in and say this is our plan. This is what you need to do.
And it's the routine that we've had for 40 fights, and so that wasn't there. And ended up fighting. It was the biggest ass whooping I've ever taken. I was a 7-1 favorite, and it was the biggest ass whooping I ever took. My nose was over here. I got an ugly fucking nose, anyways. Nose was over here. Got my ass completely whooped, and it's like fuck. Then I got cut from the UFC. And prior to that, there was a couple fights before that where Jared was feeling like, you're making all this money. Because when I beat Pyle, I got submission the night. I made $60,000 plus it was 50 grand. So I get it. And there were some things that I did for him because he started to be more about the money part of it. And my wife sees this, she's going to kill me, but I gave him money for to buy a truck. And I said, here, is this good? This good? This is going to help you out. Plus, I've given him a $800 Bowtech bow and tons of sponsor perks back in the day when we would get sponsors. So there was a lot there. So when he bailed on me that week of the show, and then I lost on top of it, that was a little extra salt, right? And I started to take a step back and be like, this is probably the way this is going to go. And so that's when I knew Luke and Marty were going to be my guys. And because they were there for me, even when they didn't necessarily want to be, they didn't want to be the guys, but they did it. And they stepped up and did it. And then from from there forward, as always, Luke and Wags were kind of my guys. And so then right after that is when shit at Komei Dojo UMA also started to fall apart because Jared and I are kind of on this weird thing, and if I leave, half the guys are probably going to come with me. And so I think looking back, there was some sort of urgency for Jared to get out. And that's when he got injured. And I don't know if we want to get into any of that shit or not.
I don't know. So one day, this is about that time period. I come into the gym and so at this time, I don't. You said earlier when Matt Taylor entered the picture, but I've been there.
This is your entering
years.
point.
All right.
Yeah.
So I'd been there for years at this point.
Right, he's been there for damn near a decade by then.
And
just get on with it. You're so fucking delicate.
Yeah. I was.
I've
been there for a long time.
I was there. I didn't just start.
So
Jared, fucking blue belt.
I was a blue belt. Yeah. But I had been teaching kids class at Komei or at UMA for quite a while, and was kind of basically just like Jared's main bitch at the time. And Brock and I had been close, but we weren't that close because I again wasn't one of those guys. I couldn't hang with Luke and Brandon and the monsters and Marty. I remember Marty, who was really just a wrestler.
Yes.
He would come and work with Brock or whatever, and he would never wear a gi. And then one time he showed up in class and he was gonna actually do class and wear a gi. And I was like, I'm gonna kick this guy's ass. I'm gonna fuck him up. Nope, that's actually not how that worked at all.
No, Marty's a tough.
Marty is very tough, and had been working with Brock long enough to know, like you can't submit him. I mean, you can't do it. He's just super tough. So anyway, so Jared, I come in one day and Jared says, "Oh, dude, I'm really hurt." And I was like, "Oh, that sucks. What's going on?" He's like, "Yeah, my back." And I was like, "Oh, whatever." He goes, "Yeah, do you remember that day that when I was having you demonstrate this single leg takedown?" I was like, "No, wow, I don't know. What are you talking about?" It's like, it was whatever, March 17th at 2, whatever. He had all these very specific details, and he just kept telling me this story over and over again. And I was like, and I mean, I've known Jared for a really long time. I started training with Jared when he was like 17 years old, still doing Rute. And he was always like super duper talented, but I mean, he was never, I don't know, completely fucking sane. So, but whatever, I can roll with that, right? Well, not everybody has to be sane. But he started telling me the story about how I was demonstrating this takedown on him, and he got injured and his back was hurt. I was like, okay, cool. Sorry, I'm sorry.
And we all know that nobody demonstrates moves on Jared.
Apparently, I was that day.
Jared is always the demonstrator.
So,
but yes,
that day goes on, and then it just continues. Every time I talk to him, he starts telling me the same story, and I was like, well, "What the fuck is going on?" And then it comes out. He said, I'm quitting." I'm like, "You're what?" He's like, I'm quitting. I'm gonna quit doing jiu-jitsu. The surgeons say I have to quit doing jiu-jitsu or I'm gonna be paralyzed." And I'm like, "This isn't from that single leg takedown I demonstrated on you on March 26th by any chance, is it?" I was like, this is super weird, right? But he says he's done. And then he tells Brock.
Danny comes to me and says, "Look, I'm hurt." And he let me believe that for quite a while until almost the day he left. This was the story. And I was thinking, geez, this sucks. And, well, actually, he's still kind of telling me he is hurt. I had no idea that these two were in cahoots, right? So
let's not go with cahoots. I was being told what to do.
So
even though the word cahoot is pretty damn fun.
It's a good word.
So these guys, so there's that going on. I'm like, I don't understand. So he's like, "I'm done. But this is what's going on." This is where shit starts to get dirty. This is when it turns kind of dark. So this is where, if you're a Jared fan, you might want to tune out because this is the real story. I am like, he's like, "This is Dave Camarillo and fucking Rob and Clint and all these guys are trying to take all the integrity out of jiu-jitsu. I can't fucking deal with it. I got a bad back and they're trying to take everything that I've worked for out of jiu-jitsu." I'm like, "Dude, what do you mean?" He's like, "They want to add all these different belts to the jiu-jitsu system. So they want to have a fucking white belt with a white stripe. They want to have a white belt with a white and a double blue stripe. And they want to have a white and blue belt, half and half belt, before they get their fucking blue belts. They're just trying to turn this into karate. And they're fucking," and he goes, "I ain't fucking doing it. And I'm fucking hurt. And this is bullshit. I'm done. I'm going out to California to fucking grow weed."
No, he didn't tell you that.
No, he told me. Yeah, he wouldn't tell me that. He's like, "I'm going out there to work with the military." I'm like, "Oh, shit." He's like, "But this is what I need you to do. We cannot leave these guys with Rob. You have to open a school." I'm like, "Dude, I fucking got this fighting thing going on." And I go, honestly, I can't have team." He's like, "Well, Matt Taylor and you can do this." I'm like, "Well, what does Matt say?" And Matt's got his fucking cafe. He's like, I go, "I honestly don't know how much time I can take." "Well, you can't do this. You can't let these guys win." I'm like, "What do you mean I can't let I go, I can't do it." Meanwhile, I've started a thing in St. Cloud. We're in there 2 days a week.
No, you did you already started?
Well,
at that
I
point?
think I wasn't in St. Cloud. I was in actually House of Pain in Annandale.
Okay.
Teaching.
Okay. Oh,
So-
yeah, that's right.
So I was kind of starting my own little thing, just because I could feel this thing fucking going on, and he's like, no, you have to. You've always been my best friend, and you gotta save the guys. We can't do this. You can't leave them in Rob's hands.
And neither Brock or I really knew Rob very
Right.
well at this point. We just like knew him as the guy who owned the gym.
Right.
And knew him and like trained with him a little bit, but I mean we weren't friends with him. And even at this point, like I knew Brock real well, but we weren't really like friends either, you know, like
Right.
I would never go to him and be like, you know what Jared told me the other day? Ever.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I would be afraid I would be killed. Right? But like so like there's all this weird shit going on, but no actual cross communication because
he's meanwhile telling Matt one story and saying, hey, don't tell anybody this, but this is what's going on. And he'd do the same thing to me. Hey, don't say anything, but this is going on. And so I'm like, I don't think I can do it. One, my wife, meanwhile, I had this TFX thing going on, which was losing tons of money. And I'm like, my wife won't let me put a dime into this stuff. I just don't have money for it. And the fight thing is a little tight, soft subject at home. And he's like, well, maybe Marty will. I'm like, so he talks to Marty Wags. And Wags says, let's do it. So this, again, isn't supposed to be fucking known, but I'm going to say it anyway. Sorry, Marty. But Wags, so this is all. So now all of us are talking, but none of us are talking together. And me,
only talking to Jared.
we're only talking to Jared. Everything is going through Jared. So Marty's talking to Jared. I'm talking to Jared. Matt's talking to Jared. We're all talking to Jared. And he's like, don't say anything. Da 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 da. So it's all like, oh, secret. So meanwhile, Jared's like, I wanna quit. He's telling Wags, 'cause later on, after talking to Wags, I want to quit, but I can't quit without, I got all this. My life is this, and Marty's like, okay, I'll give you 10 grand. Think of it as a parting gift, and I'll open a school. As Wags always wanted to open like a wrestling school, and he's like, oh, thank you so much. So Jared gets Wags to pay him another 10 grand. So he got this workman's comp. I'm not gonna say if he got any money out of the workman's comp or not. But
I actually don't know. I have no idea.
He's got this workman's comp deal, because fucking Twinkle D over here fucking hurt him. Okay, so he got a workman's comp deal. He got $85,000 from a gym that he sold 2 years ago, and now he got another 10 grand from Wags. So this motherfucker's a genius. He's working the insurance end of it. He's working the Rob side of it, and now he's got his buddy Wags paying him because poor me. Meanwhile, the whole time Rob's paying him a salary, right? But we're all feeling so bad for him because this guy's hurt. This
Right.
is
We
his
think
life.
he's like dead.
This is his life, and
It was actually, it was the absolute like worst time of my life as far as jiu-jitsu goes because Jared was broken and wouldn't wouldn't do anything, right? He wouldn't demonstrate anything, so he would make me demonstrate everything, but he wouldn't tell me what I was demonstrating. Like, I swear to God, right? He wouldn't be like, okay, so I want you to show an arm bar from guard. No. He'd be like, okay, guys, Matt's going to show you guys this thing. All right, Matt, you're on the bottom. Kyle, you're in his guard. Okay, great. That's where we're starting. Okay. Now, right hand goes on the left arm. Okay. I wonder where on the left arm. Right? Like, it was like I was like a
like you got
puppet.
sleeve control,
I was like,
you got an elbow control.
and I'm like, and if I would fuck up, he would just, I would feel so bad. I would go home and cry afterward, going like, I hate being the puppet. I can't be Jared's puppet anymore. Yeah, it was horrible. So anyway, so Marty Wagner gives Jared $10,000 essentially to like quit teaching at Kome Dojo. Jared
goes to California
quits Kome Dojo or UMA, I should say, and like puts a workman's comp claim in for this injury that I apparently bestowed upon him.
Yeah.
And tells me that he's going to California to grow marijuana. It was legal at the time. And he tells Brock he's going to California to work with the
military.
CIA, military,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
We still, to this day,
don't know which he was
which
doing.
is true.
If either.
Pretty crazy.
Well, we didn't know this.
So, and then we
Tell.
are given the mandate. Well, so then we're given the mandate from his honorable Jared to go and like create a new school and like basically like carry the torch until he gets back.
Well, we didn't know he was coming. I didn't know he was coming.
Well, to carry the torch for all of the people. Like we couldn't abandon the
Right.
the people.
And then not only this, but then he's got a couple guys that he thinks are going to take over the school and teach for Rob, which was Daryl was one of them, and the other one was oh my God,
Joe Giuseppe.
no, the short little cop, sheriff, brown belt.
Josh Carter.
Josh Carter.
Oh,
so
yeah, no.
he does this. So he's worried that Josh Carter, because Josh Carter is one of the better guys in the gym. So he goes out the day he's already quit. He goes out and tells Josh to meet him at fucking the beach, and gives him his brown belt. And now why that he did it, like, I think it's because he wanted to build like trust. Like, I'm awarding you my brown belt. This is your sword. Don't fucking go teach at Rob's. Right? And he took... Yeah. Anyways, so then he does that. And so now, me, Wags, and fucking Matt decide we're going to open the school. We have what? A weekend to build a school. We decide we're going to do it we get this great idea, at the Franklin Arts Center. This is going to be a really good place to build a school.
And Brock, still, we had mats from, or did you get new mats? I don't know where those
Marty
came from.
bought mats.
Oh, that's right.
Because
okay.
we couldn't, he bought them from Tyler Larson.
Oh,
in
that's
Fargo.
right. That's right. So we end up, and it literally was a weekend. Like, it was like Friday to Monday. That's like, we just worked the whole time and like built this fucking like this gym inside the Franklin Arts Center, which, by the way, was the absolute worst fit for a martial arts school, is the Franklin Arts Center. There is a fucking difference between visual arts and martial arts. And it's pretty apparent. Like,
You didn't win over the rest of the.
oh my God, it was so bad. It was just so bad. And then to boot, Brock and I went and talked to the only other actual like real
martial art
Jiu Jitsu guys in town, the
Fight
Fight Mafia, the Fafia. And we went and sat down with them and we were like, hey guys, we're starting this new school and we don't, why, like,
you guys should join our team. You guys can have the mornings. You guys can teach mornings.
Yeah.
And
we get it that you don't like want to do our classes. It's fucking fine. But we got this space and we need to pay for it and it's cheap.
You guys are in the basement of this house. That's super dangerous.
It was actually, they were in the downtown mall at the time when we went in there. They were in the basement of the downtown mall.
Yeah, that's right.
And it was just nasty puzzle mats and it was horrible. So we were like, why don't you guys join our team and you can have your classes. We'll have our classes. It'll be great. It was not great. It was not great.
Not great.
There were naked men walking around
the Franklin Arts Center.
Franklin Arts Center at noon every day. I mean, it was the worst match ever. It was so bad. So we got kicked out.
Yep.
2 months later.
Yep.
They politely asked us to leave. We were like, fuck. Where are we gonna go now? Are we done? And Brock's like, I don't know. now Brock and I have started like we're teaching classes together to a lot, so we're starting to like become, much closer friends, and we decide we're gonna go over to the
railroad yard.
And we find a place over there. I love it. It was awesome, and another weekend, and we fucking build a new gym in a weekend.
This motherfucker
That was a cool
almost
spot, though.
killed me. This
Oh my
motherfucker
God.
almost killed me.
Well, who was it who got them fucking
The lockers?
the lockers?
Fucking wags.
Okay, so Marty Wagner gets these lockers somewhere. They weigh like 1.5 million pounds.
They're fucking way heavy.
And
I get the biggest fucking guy I can find to help me, Matt fucking Taylor.
so we're on the second floor of the fucking.
Which I think, like, you should never look for help. I mean, like, this guy, like, takes time, like, his own time and shit. Like, he's always fucking doing something, like, helping other people out. And yet, you often find yourself in a position where, it's a good thing you have a fucking enormous family and shit.
Yes. Oh shit.
You should never have to look for help, but it happens.
So he calls me. We're bringing these lockers up
They're
the
2-story
stairs.
lockers, so they're fucking
huge,
They're
and
like
they're heavy
8
as
feet
fuck.
tall. They're fucking stupid.
And I am not Brock Larson. And we're going up these stairs, and
There's sections of lockers, so they're 8 feet tall and they're like 7 feet long. It's this big.
we're halfway up the stairs, and my back goes out. My back goes out. Like, my back goes out. But no, has your back ever gone out? You've never had your back go out? Well, Brock has, because he's had back surgery. So, like, it wasn't just like, it was like, I couldn't move my legs. Like,
Okay,
it went out.
So these fucking stairs, they're a pretty steep stair. I'm fucking on the bottom, and I'm walking up. He fucking drops it. All this fucking weight is on me. There is fucking nothing. I'm holding all of them. I'm like, he's like, Brock, I gotta rest. I'm like, Matt, you don't understand. You have to pick him up.
And
I am going to die.
And I'm laying on the stairs, and I'm like twitching because my back is all out, and I'm like, but my back is out. And he goes, I don't care. If you don't do it, I'm going to die. And I was like, oh. How did we get out of that?
You found a way. You dug deep.
I found a way. I dug deep.
dug deep.
I dug deep.
You dug deep.
And my back's never been the same.
So then the mats, when we got the mats up there, we had
after that I was like, I'm done.
We had the Fafi guys.
After we
help
got
us
that
with
up there, I was like, I am not picking up another thing.
and nor did I want him to.
Anyway,
That
so
was
we
the-
ended up building another gym, and we did about a year
And
and
that
a
was
half
Warriors
there.
Alliance.
And that was the Warriors Alliance. And we built it up. We never made a fucking penny doing it, but
No.
we built up this pretty decent.
We had
gym.
50-some students.
Yeah, it was good. But Brock had started at that point training pretty seriously in St. Cloud, and at I don't. Yeah,
That was
I know
at
you were
Langs.
You were doing the
That was at Lang's.
CrossFit.
CrossFit and Blitz Jiu Jitsu.
Yep. And then.
And that's when I met Tony Martin.
Yep, and this is
Adam
that
McDonough.
story when Tony came up and was Kimuring me and going to drag me under the wall. I was like, I don't think so. And
Yeah, so that place is really starting to take off. I've actually
Yeah, it was
found
actually
some talent.
doing really
we had
good.
some national champions, some national runner-ups from the St. Cloud State wrestling team, and I was
because it kind of morphed a little bit, because Jared was Jared's very technical jiu-jitsu guy, all that. But Brock has this ability to attract athletes, because I don't know, I think you can smell it, athletes
Gravitate to us.
yeah. So we started getting these super fucking athletic guys. I mean, we had some killers going on in there.
And not to mention a lot of the students that had been with us at the Kome Dojo.
Stayed with us.
Stayed with us.
We didn't really lose anybody.
I mean, we had Daryl Grandhome, and we had the fight
We had the
Mafia
Fafia, yeah.
guys. So we had 50+ students at that point, and doing pretty fucking good. And
So we weren't making any money.
No,
But
no.
we were
But-
we were successful.
we were on the break of making money, and things are going pretty good. And Jared comes back.
kind of out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Actually, I remember the day clearly. I didn't even know. No message, nothing. I haven't talked to him in months. And
Yeah.
I'm like getting ready to like start class. I was teaching
But-
like
yeah,
Tuesdays and
yeah.
Thursdays because Brock was doing Monday, Wednesday, Fridays because that's his days.
So prior to any of that happening, we built this school. And meanwhile, Dave Camarillo, who I look up to, he's awesome. He calls me up and says, "Hey, Brock, I want to give you a free affiliation. I'm not going to charge you anything. You guys were my first affiliation ever. I want to keep it going in Brainerd." I'm like, "That is awesome. That's awesome." I said, "But I'm going to." I go. Well, let me think about it, because at that time, Damien was a Camarillo guy, and he and Dave were parting ways, and Damien was going into Alliance, which is a bigger jiu-jitsu organization. And so I'm like, I don't know, I got to think about it. I called Jared. I said, "Jared, what do you think?" Dave called and offered me a free affiliation. He's like, "Don't do it. Don't do it." I'm like, "Don't do it." He's like, "No. He fucking ruined me. Him and Rob and all those guys are the reason why I'm in this position that I'm in right now. Don't do it. Don't take the affiliation. He's fucking evil. He fucking has no integrity." I'm like, oh, fuck. This is my buddy that I'm still thinking is like, got fucked, And so I'm like, all right. So I called Dave back. I go, "Dave, I appreciate it, but I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to kind of do my own thing right now and kind of let everything settle." So I didn't do the affiliation. And no one in Brainerd cares. Whether it's a Dave Camarillo Jiu-Jitsu, if it's Matt.
Huge name in jiu-jitsu.
Right. But Brainerd, nobody knows. People know Brock. They know Jared. They know Matt Taylor. Like, that's jiu-jitsu. Like, I remember in Brainerd, people called Ultimate Fighting or MMA, they called it CFX. What people call the UFC now, decade ago, they were calling, "Oh, you fight CFX." And now, now people say, "Hey, you train UFC?" But people were using CFX in Brainerd as MMA. And so, like, we were Brainerd MMA. We were Brainerd Martial Arts. We were the eyes of that. So nobody cared. No one cared that it was Dave Camarillo. If it was, because before Dave, we had Pedro Sauer, Professor Pedro, and that's who Jared and I both got our blue belts from. And but nobody cared who was training with us. They just thought it was freaking cool to be fucking training with a guy who fought in the UFC, And so I said no to the affiliation. I'm just going to do my own thing and go from there. And so kind of just ran with it, and we had our good thing. We had the morning classes were the FAFIA, and then we had the evenings were between me and Matt Taylor and fucking Wags and Luke. We would all just kind of train. It was more of a club, but it was a really good vibe, and everybody seemed to like it. Matt Taylor was still teaching the kids, and it was really good, and it was going fairly well, and everybody was having fun. And there was no pressure of like an instructor, because we all just kind of shared the role. So there was no like, you're the boss, I'm the boss. No one was the boss. We all had equal parts in it, and everything's going good. And then Jared comes back, and he starts training, and he's like, I can't be seen training with you guys because I've got this no compete clause with Rob still. So he's like, so anything I do has got to be secret. I'm like, oh, okay. And I still remember he had me come out to his house because he's afraid there was cameras in the gym.
So yeah, that was when it started to get freaky. When Jared started to get like ultra paranoid, and you would have to he would bring you outside to talk and stuff, and was always like, and I was like, oh, this isn't okay.
I come to his house, which is right off Dewey Highway. It's about 200 feet off the highway, his house is, and he comes up and he looks. And he's like, "Oh, you're by yourself, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, I'm like, "Yeah." So he called me over to train, because he wanted to train. I'm like, "All right, let's train." He goes, "Shh, shh, shh." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "There's satellites, and I don't know. There might be cameras hidden in the trees." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "No." So let's go inside. So we go inside, and he's telling me this conspiracy theory about how the insurance company is watching him. And now, again, I don't know if he's just fucking playing this out or if he's really that fucking paranoid. And so I'm like, "Oh, dude, I don't think there's cameras in your trees." I go, "One, it's illegal, and they can't use it in court, even if they did, because they're trespassing." He goes, "Well, there's satellites, and they can zoom right in on you." I'm like, "I don't think they can hear us, though." And he's like, "No, dude, we just got to be super, super quiet about this." And he's like, "What do you think of this?" And he fucking rolls the mats out, and we start fucking training. And it's fucking, I'm like, whoa, holy fuck. And then I realize that he's been training this whole time. Because you don't just stop training for 2 fucking years and then all of a sudden you're doing jiu-jitsu.
Right.
And about that time is when I tell Matt, I say, "I don't know, that fucking military shit that he went to fucking California for is really fucking, he's doing really well." And he's like, "What?"
Military shit. He was growing weed. Brock's like, "No, he was training with the military." And I was like, "No, he was totally growing weed." And we still don't know. Like, we have no idea what he did.
Honestly, what I think he did,
Is there a growing weed for the military job?
I think he was out there with Dave.
Yeah, I think he was
whole
out
time.
training jiu-jitsu too. That's what I think too. Like, he was out training jiu-jitsu, like, in some, like, little fucking secret camp somewhere. Because there really was a marked difference between,
Sure.
like, when he left to when he came back.
Yes.
As far as, like,
Moving.
I mean, Jared was always very skilled, but, like,
He definitely was training with higher level people than
super high level.
the Brainerd guys. So that's when we both realized, what? He told you what? And we're like, "Well, that's fucking weird." So then we start talking amongst ourselves, and all these stories are crisscrossing. And about that time is when Matt comes clean with me about injuring him.
Yeah, so I'm like, so we were talking one day, and you were like, Brock was like, "How, like, I still don't understand how he got hurt." And I was like, I don't think he ever did get hurt. And Brock's like, "What do you mean he didn't get hurt?" I was like, "Well, one day he, like, showed up and, like, told me that I heard him doing a single leg at class," and, like, the whole story comes out. And then Brock's like, "So he never even really got injured?" And I'm like, "Well, he may have gotten injured, but, like, I certainly fucking didn't injure him. Like, I'm not capable of injuring him. I mean, but I, like, told everybody I injured him. I told the insurance company I injured him. I'm probably going to fucking jail for this podcast." But, you know, like, yeah, so it was, like, super crazy. And then, yeah, so, like,
Yeah.
even that was, like, was another layer of deception. So started, like, it took us years to, like, kind of, like,
Figure
pull
this
back,
whole thing out.
peel this onion and be like,
Well, I've been like a little like over the years. Like, I've never really asked. I mean, I've known you forever. I've known you for several years now. I've never asked because I'm like I'm the least curious person in the world about other people's shit. You know.
right.
And and I was always like, because I like that dude.
And-
So like,
Right.
I was also like, I'm like. and that might be silly. I mean, but like one of the best ways to like, like not, like to preserve stuff like that is just to not be curious about people.
Right. Totally.
But this is quite the story.
So I was listening to this podcast a while ago about, like, people who, like, survive cults. Cult survivors who have, like, gone through like, they have a cult leader or whatever. And I was listening to this and I was like, I was in a cult. All of the shit that like people like talk about the trauma that they went through in a cult, like I feel like that I was in a cult at one point.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was a cult.
Yeah, because like, truly,
But the whole like thing where I was so the idea of telling Jared's secrets was terrifying to me. I would
Right.
I can't tell his secrets, right? So it's like that's how come it took so long for Brock and I, who even like worked out together all the time, talked all the time, but we would,
yeah.
and I would, and then we like something would
It
come up.
probably really took me working at the bar with you and us doing our midnight workouts at fucking.
That's when it really changed.
I mean,
Yes,
that's
really what it is, because then. So Jared's back then. So okay. So then I started the.
Well,
so,
let's get back to where we are in our timeline
well,
here.
this is kind of where we're at.
Well, we're getting there. So then Amanda comes into the picture. So Jared wants to implant. He goes, I want Amanda to come work for you guys, to help you guys.
Oh, this is before he came back.
Right.
Yes.
So, but
And she took care of the business stuff, right? Like
yeah. So she got people who signed up, and she did that stuff.
Just like the secretary.
Yeah.
Which is also his girlfriend. Amanda was his girlfriend.
And-
She's super sweet.
Yeah, she's awesome. But looking back, he wanted to know if the school was making money. He wanted
100%.
He wanted to know how. And at that point, that's about the time when we started turning the corner. And we actually started getting. Remember, we started getting like little checks.
Yeah. So we had a weird deal worked out where we would get like a certain percentage or whatever. So I know like each month. No, I was teaching kids class and then adult class on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. So 3 days a week is about.
you guys are getting like bartender paychecks.
No, they weren't that much.
No. Yeah, I would get like a $35 a month check or
that's
something
that's
like
smart.
that.
You know, like you work for tips, you know. Like, oh shit! I got
Yeah,
$9.
yeah. So,
You know?
but I mean, it was 5 of us teaching.
Yeah, I mean it wasn't, and loved doing it. It wasn't about the money.
Yeah.
Obviously, or else we wouldn't have done it.
And it wasn't a well-oiled machine. There was a lot of people slipping through the cracks.
People who didn't pay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like an entire morning crew.
I was gonna say something. That was something about crack.
So Amanda comes in, and then Jared shows. That's when Jared shows up.
Right.
Is-
And so I remember the day very specifically when Jared showed up. I was getting ready to teach class, and all of a sudden, like, this guy walks in with like just a killer gi. I mean, just a killer gi. You know, fucking ratty old black belt. You know, just walking like a fucking gunslinger. You know, and I'm like, Jared. You know, and it was like, and everybody's like, oh my god, Jared, and then he was like, and then he's like, oh hey, whatever, all right, and I'm like, hi. You know, and he's like, you know, do your thing. I'm like, what do you mean? You know, like he didn't want to have anything to do it. He just came to class,
Right.
but he
Be
wouldn't
seen.
like. He just wanted me to teach the class, but he didn't want to like do anything I was trying to teach, which is totally understandable. Like I know a thimble to his ocean, but it's like
Right.
it was the weirdest fucking experience in my life. How do I like
Like trying to give a blowjob in front of an old hooker. What?
Yes. It was exactly like trying to give a blowjob in front of an old hooker.
Shit.
Yes.
You're the best analogy guy ever.
You know.
But it was the most uncomfortable experience of my
If you need
life.
an analogy. Get a hold of me.
He's the guy. He's the guy.
But
I got
then
a guy for that.
I would be teaching my thing, and then like I'd get done. Like so, jiu-jitsu. If you've never taken a jiu-jitsu class, typically you demonstrate a move, you explain it through a couple, 2-3 times, and then you like stop, and then you say, "Okay, let's give it a try," and then everybody goes and does the move, right? So in that time, when everybody would go start doing the move, Jared would grab me and like pull me into the other room and be like, so, you know when you did this? what you needed to do. And I was like, fuck, dude. I don't know if I could do this anymore. It was so stressful. I like literally got peptic, is that what they're called? Ulcers. I got ulcers, right? During this time period, right? I was shitting blood and shit, right?
Oof.
I was so stressed out that I was like crazy. And my life was kind of going crazy at that time as well because I was transitioning from going from one restaurant to another restaurant. So the E Squared Cafe was ending, and I was starting the Sunshine Kitchen Moonshine Lounge. So my life was already fucking crazy. And then I had the guy who I thought was like the zenith of jiu-jitsu, like coming to my class but not teaching it.
Right.
Very difficult.
And so now there's that. So then there's this time frame, and we're all. Yep. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say like I think it's very clear that like people that have like studied with Jared and stuff like want his respect, like crave his respect.
Right.
Because he's whatever is a brilliant
Yep.
Absolutely. Tactician.
And we all kind of put him on that pedestal.
Sure.
Nope, Jared, and that's kind of the role that we all went. It's like because I didn't want to school. I never really wanted to school, and
Right, you accidentally got a school.
right, and so now Jared's kind of back, and it's really weird. Because he's the same thing with me. He'd come into my classes, and I would teach. He'd be like, "Hey, Brock, I learned this other cool move. So, you should, when they do that, just grab inside the lapel with 4 fingers instead of your thumb. Grab like this instead of like this."
But like, he wouldn't want anybody to see, so
Right.
he'd be like cutting off the rest of the. It was so. And then, I mean, if Jared went over to Brock and started like saying something, I mean, what do you want? What do you want to do as a student? You're like, what the fuck? What's Jared teaching? What's Jared showing Brock? Right? And then he'd be like, it was so weird. It was so weird. It was so uncomfortable.
And
Everybody was uncomfortable.
And he would come in, and he would kind of like it was a weird thing because it was like he wanted the attention, but he was acting like he didn't want the attention. Like he wouldn't come into a fucking class that someone else is teaching and walk on the mats and like without wanting people to know you're there. I mean, let's just be real, right? But looking back on it, everything's clear, and we'll tie all this up when the story's over. But anyway, so we're at that stage now, and and Jared's like, I got this no compete clause. I can't train. I can't be seen training. I can't fucking touch the guy because I'll get sued because this, that, and the other thing. Meanwhile, I'm not 100% sure about this fucking whole lawsuit thing. And, but that I think had more to do with it than anything. But anyway, so we're going to fast forward it now to months kind of go, I'd say months go by with this where we're kind of playing this fiddle and we're doing this secret training every once in a while at Jared's house, and I'd be coming back from the academy or coming back from St. Cloud. He'd call me. He's like, "Where are you at?" I said, "I'm going by Little Falls right now. Come to my house."
The satellites are down.
But don't text me. I go, okay. Come to his house. Boom. We go to his base or his floor, and we go over moves. Check this out. Oh fuck, that's awesome. And then he would tell me, like, hey, I think you should do this with the school. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, it's not really my school. It's more WAG school. And he goes, well, you got to get rid of wrestling. You got to get rid of you got to get rid of the FAFIA, which, it probably wasn't necessarily wrong. But at that point, we don't have enough fucking people to teach morning classes. Really, the FAFIA guys took that morning class and they taught it. And I mean, there was people like Spangler that took that, Dan O'Neill that took that class. I mean,
for sure.
There was a lot of our guys that still went there and trained with those guys.
And guys that we train with today, Rocco Majori and
Jake.
there's
And
a lot of good dudes in there.
super
Daryl.
good deals. Daryl Gregory and
Grant Holmes.
Also a FAFIA guy.
Yeah, right, and
Matuzak.
Jordan and Yeah. So like nothing against. I mean, nothing against Fafia. Steve Foslin on the other hand, I mean, he was kind of a piece of shit. But other than that, like the guys that the Fafia like produced are fucking super great guys. Who most of them, the thing is that like. Talking about like I was number 36 or whatever in Kome Dojo, like I can't think of anybody that still trains other than Brock and Jared that I like started training. Like it's not like it's hard for people to like continue to train, and like it's hard to remember anybody who's been training as long as Rocco,
right?
Or Holtz, yeah.
Daryl.
And he was a child when he started training.
I mean, Daryl was a Kome Dojo guy.
He was a Kome, yeah. Well, so was Rocco. Yeah. But also Fafia guys,
right?
And or Jake, I mean, he's been training for a hell of a long time. So anyway, the point is that like, as much as yes, they were kind of a problem. They never paid. There was like not that the guys never paid. Steve never paid. He'd collect dues, and then he would just.
Yeah, he was supposed to give us half of anything that they collected from them guys.
So let's just put it out there. Steve Oslin is a douchebag. I don't know if you know this or not.
Yeah,
but he's a douchebag. So
he not only lied to us, but he lied to his own guys.
He would lie.
And that's kind of Holtz was one of the first people that was like, dude. So is Steve pay you because I gave him $100 and I seen you guys talking and he said that you're just trying to steal from him, saying that he didn't pay you. I'm like, dude, that motherfucker never paid me.
He's never paid.
And so that was kind of the start of that. But
okay,
and we got rid of
Steve Oslin. But yeah.
Anyway, so Jared's starting to say how to run the school and what we should do and do this other thing, and it's like, okay. Anyways, so. And then he finally fucking sits down with me and says, Brock, I want the school back. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I go, you can have it. I said, but you got to talk to Wags. Wags has put all the money into the school. Wags bought the mat. He bought the sheetrock. He bought everything.
Moved it twice,
he bought the lockers, everything.
He gave you $10,000.
Right. And he's like, well, tell me this. If I open a school, are you coming with me? I'm like, dude, you got to talk to Wags. I go, when you left, you made me promise you that no matter what I do, that I will not let Wags fail. He paid you 10 grand, and you told me, Brock, promise me, no matter what you do, you won't let this school fail. And I promised you that. And with that promise was my friend Wags' school. And so you guys got to figure it out. I'm not fucking picking sides. I go, figure out what Wags wants and do it. So he went and talked to Wags. Wags said he wanted 40 grand, which I think is a fair number. Rob paid 85. Which Jared still to know that I know that Wags gave him 10 grand. And Wags gave him 10 grand, and he's like, well, no. No.
So that's so Marty gave Jared $10,000 back, like, whatever it was, 8 months before this or whatever. So Marty wants 40 for the school, or 45?
40.
40 for the school. So, I mean, it's really 30 because he already gave 10, right? So,
Yeah, so then.
And the school is bigger.
Right.
At the time he would be buying it than it was when he left it. Right. For sure, bigger. Yes. We had been growing it for sure.
And especially the kids program, too.
Oh, yeah, kids program was awesome.
Way bigger. And
except for that time when I kicked that child across the room.
Well, that's a different story.
That happens.
So he comes to me. He's like, Marty wants $40,000 for this fucking school. He's trying to rip me off. I'm like, Jared, I don't think he's trying to rip you off. I go, he's got a lot of money into the school. He's like, no, no, he's trying to screw me. There's no way that school's worth this much. I'm like, dude, you sold it for $85,000. And he's like, yeah, but that's different. He can't fucking do this. I'm like, you guys got to figure it out. He goes, well, I'm going to open a school. Either way, I just paid Rob 10 grand to get out of my no-compete clause. I'm like, you paid? Yeah, fucked it. I just said, fuck it, I paid it. I'm like, oh, okay. He goes, now, Marty's trying to charge me 40 grand for my school to get my school back. This is fucking bullshit. I'm like, well, you guys figure it out. He goes, no, I'm opening a school. Now, are you with me or are you with Wags? I'm like, dude, let me talk to Wags and let me figure it out, you know? And so I call Wags. And I'm like, Wags, what the fuck is going on? He's like, well, dude, I fucking got this much money into it. He goes, I'm just trying to get what I got into it, out of it. And I'm like, well, is there any way you can fucking just take a bath of it? I go, schooling is a lot more work than you want it to be. I mean, you got a full-time job working with the state. And I go,
and to be fair, Marty wasn't like, he was like kind of done too, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, fucking running a jiu-jitsu school, it's like running a fucking restaurant. It's stupid. I mean, dumb. Like, don't do it. Like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Like,
right.
So Marty was like, you know, there was always like something to deal with, and so he was tired of it. So that makes sense, you know.
And so he's like, all right, fine, Brock, fine. And I still to this day feel like there's maybe a wall there or a line that I crossed with Marty, like I kind of forced his hand. And
but the thing is that's true. But on the other side of that, without you and me, there really wasn't a school.
Right.
So like, if Jared literally was like going to start a school across the street, I didn't want to teach a class.
Right.
Being like, hey, come to my jiu-jitsu class.
Right.
I'm Matt fucking Taylor. I'm a purple belt.
Right.
Or go to Jared's class, who's a fucking like.
And part of the problem was everybody had always built Jared up. But nonetheless, so Marty says, fine, fuck it, we're done. Sells the school to Jared for 10 grand.
For 10 grand?
10 grand.
Wow.
And so then Jared comes back to me. He's like, okay, so I got to school. We got it all figured out with Marty. Will you come teach at the school? I'll pay you. I'm like, no, dude, I'll just help you. I'll help you. I'll teach you on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm down. I go, I don't have time for a fucking school to teach. And meanwhile, I'm bartending at fucking
I don't
Moonshine.
think you had started quite yet.
Not yet. Probably. Yeah, you're probably right.
Right in that area.
And but money was starting to get fucking tight, so I knew I was gonna have to pick up a gig, because I'm getting towards the twilight of my career at this point.
What would you say your specialty drink was as a bartender?
Jack Coke.
anything that didn't have tequila in it.
His favorite cocktail had 2 ingredients.
Yes.
Jack. Oh yeah, and Brock is like literally allergic to
tequila.
Not just like we had people who would come in and like literally order fucking shots of tequila just to watch him.
I'm doing this.
Gag.
And I can't spill it on my hands, so I'm like, fucking shit. Disgusting. I'm gagging.
It was awesome.
I'm gagging. Doing Matt's like, you can't do that. I'm like, I can't fucking help it.
Someday you're going to have to tell me how you figured out that you were allergic to tequila.
It's drank too much of it.
That's how most people become allergic to it.
Oh, fuck.
Guave.
So now I'm teaching in St. Cloud, and that school's doing fair at this point. But again, I've got tons of athletes, and it's going pretty good. And I had met this other guy named Dave, and we decided to open a school together. and we got this big place and opened this new school, huge place, and it was
The performance
compound, and it was awesome. And I had a lot of hybrid motherfuckers in there, national champions, and so on and so forth. So anyway, so I've got this St. Cloud thing that I really I'm more passionate about it now because this ain't my thing anymore. And
you're still fighting.
Yeah.
These are the people that are like getting you ready to fight.
Right.
You're not coming up to Brainerd to get ready to fight
no,
anymore.
the only
because,
ones, yeah, I had Luke and Brandon.
Yeah, and Luke had kind of faded at that point.
He was just in the middle of that divorce shit.
He had faded out. Brandon had been done.
Brandon
done.
was just done fighting. Yeah, just done fighting.
So like Brainerd was like, it was the place you came to teach people.
Yeah.
Not the place you came to like
sharpen
training,
your sword. And so now I'm still, but I'm going to teach Tuesdays and Thursdays, and to help him because he's like, no, I really need you to let the students know that we're on the same side and that it's an easy transition from you to me and all this bullshit.
And this is when Jared moves from the Burlington Northern Buildings to Washington Street and starts the new gym.
Right.
MIQ is what it's called. And like the day he like was like, okay, I'm moving everything over. I'm like, that is awesome. I'm done. Like I was like, I wasn't like, I'm done with you, I'm done. But I was like, I was so ready to be done training. I was so ready to be done teaching. Like I was like, I'm just gonna get fucking fat, and I'm gonna like, I am done, fucking done. And I was. I like 6 months went by, and I didn't do anything. Gained like 100 pounds, and just was like, fucking.
Yes.
I'm so happy.
So then I'm over there still. And then about, a couple weeks into it, I decided I'm going to go fucking be a bartender. So I would go over there and I'd teach class. And after I get done with class, so I'm teaching Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I've got my own following still, which at the end of the day, this was probably the biggest problem, was I still had guys that were still kind of loyal to me. And when Jared and I started this, like, I'm not money driven. And my fucking wife hates it about me, but I'm not money driven. So when I said, Jared, this is what we're going to do so shit don't get ugly. I go, I'm going to let whoever wants to train with me, MMA, they can come down to the performance compound and train for free. Because I don't want them to have to pick what they want to do. They can all sign up with you, and they can just come train with me for free.
So if they want to train with Brock and at the performance compound, they just sign up at MIQ.
Yep.
And then if they want to go to St. Cloud and train, they're covered.
Because we had a lot of guys like Holtz and Brandon and a lot of those guys that still, like, were more of that higher bred stuff and wanted to train with some athletes as well. Not that there wasn't athletes in there, but nonetheless. So that's happening. And Jared's like, you know what? Same thing. Anybody from up there wants to train with me, I'm cool with it. All right, cool. And so that goes pretty well. And I've got like Luke's coming up and training with me, and then I've got Holtz and Kyle Matuzak, and a lot of these guys who want to fight are coming up and training with me. And what started to happen was they weren't coming to Jared's classes, and they were all coming when I would come on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Like Holtz would come to my classes, then he'd come with me on Monday, Wednesday, Friday to St. Cloud, and we'd carpool. And then, I mean, there was times where we had fucking a carload of people. Me, Matuzak, Holtz. You'd come with us occasionally, not very often, and at that point, because you were pretty busy with the restaurant, and just whoever wanted, Brandon, whoever wanted to come up, we'd pile in and we'd drive up there, we'd train, and then we'd come back. So I thought it was great. I mean, and Jared, you would thought would have been happy because they're paying him. I'm not getting a dime off Holtz, any of those guys training with me, but they're making our team better too, up in St. Cloud, because it works out fine. And so But what happens is the jealous thing starts to, on Tuesday I have 20 people in class, and on Wednesday he has 5. He starts to get pissed. And when I started to realize what was going, and not looking back, I realized. I remember the one time I'm in my class, it's full, and we're running around, and I would teach a beginner's class and an advanced class. And Brian Tuma took a class with me, took the early class, which was the fundamentals class or the beginner's class. And he's going to take the advanced class. And Jared pulls me aside and he says, "What's he doing here?" I'm like, "Tuma?" He's like, "Yeah. He did your first class. He can't do 2 classes in one day." I'm like, "Oh, okay, well, what do we do?" He's like, "You got to tell him to leave." I'm like, "I tell Tuma to leave?" I mean, he's fucking, he's one of the guys.
He's been training with us for 4 years.
So I'm like,
and it's usually the funnest guy where you go.
Right,
I mean,
right.
If Brian Tuma's there.
So then I'm trying to make this not a thing. So we're warming up. He's jogging. So I start jogging alongside him. I go, "Tuma, I don't know how to tell you this, but Jared said you can only do 1 class a fucking day, and I got to kick you out." He's like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" I'm like, "Yeah." Yeah, I'm like, "But I don't want to fucking make a scene." He's like, "Well, it's fucking bullshit. Fine." And then he just gets his shit and he leaves. But there was shit like that. And then he would go behind my back and tell guys like, "Oh, I don't know why Brock kicked you out. You didn't have to fucking kick him out. He's just, no, that's what you fucking told me to do." And it's like,
and then the big one was Matusak too, right?
Yeah.
Because Matusak wanted to go down.
Yeah.
So Kyle Matusak, who's a tough fucking kid,
he fought.
Yeah.
Good fighter.
And he's kind of like Jared's like
guy now.
But at the time he was coming down and training in St. Cloud quite a bit, and Jared was just like, that was the thing. I remember you calling me going like, I fucking think I'm done.
Yeah, because he told Kyle that he shouldn't fight, he shouldn't do any of this stuff, and blah 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 blah.
And he told you that you couldn't let Kyle train with you in St. Cloud.
Kyle, Josh, Brandon,
right,
all the guys. And that's when I said, that's when I walked into his office and said, "Look, we're friends. We'll be friends forever." I said, "But I can't work here anymore. I can't work with you." I go, "You do your own thing. I'll do my thing. You can charge my guys. I'll do what I want down there." Because he's insisted that I charge Brandon and Kyle and Josh and all the guys that were coming down there and training with me. And Brandon was essential to me at that point. It's like, I cannot charge Brandon to fucking help me get better. And so I'm like, "I'm done." And he had caused this big, he's like, oh my God, I can't believe you're quitting on me. And like made this thing. I'm like, "Dude, it's no big deal." He's like, "Here, let me write you a check for your mats." Because I had a bunch of mats he's got the pretty mats that are on top, and then the mats underneath the mats at the school, and in his other room are my mats. So he's got 2 layers of mats. He's like, "Let me write you a check out for the mat." I'm like, "Dude, no, don't worry about it. No, let me write you." He writes me out a $2,000 check. He's like, "Here, just take it. Just take it. You're fucking crushing me right now." I'm like, and I take the check and I rip it up, and he knows I'm going to do that. So
or else it would have bounced.
So then I leave. And I'm still training there. I still train there on Tuesdays and Thursdays because why the fuck not? And we're still buddies. And then that's when fucking God, I'm brain farting the shit out of shit today. Some bitch, motherfucker, your boy, Wadena, Joe Giuseppe.
Yes. Oh yeah, Joe.
Had been training with us at not Comey Dojo. Yeah, he was started at Rob's.
He might. Nah, he was.
He was at Rob's. So he was at UMA. But meanwhile,
so Joe's he's older than me.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know Joe. Yeah.
So
super tough guy.
Joe had been doing privates with me since we opened. since we moved, because he was part of PMA and then or UMA, and so he was doing practice with me. And he'd come to all my classes. He'd drive from Wadena. He opened a school. I affiliated his school. I was promoting his guys. Jared was gone. Fucking bleh. And so we're getting close to the end now. So Joe Giuseppe, I give him his purple belt. The week that I got my first stripe on my black belt. So I give him that, and Dave gives me my. And I had no idea what was going on, but Clint's like, no, you got to be there. And Jared's like, no, you got to be here. I'm like, I didn't even fucking want to go because I still felt really weird around Dave because I said no to his affiliation. He offered me a free affiliation, and I said no. Jared comes back, and now we're affiliated under Dave again, which that'll be in the wrap-up. So I didn't even really want to go, but they're like, no, you got to go. So I get my stripe on my black belt. But that Wednesday or Thursday, I promote Joe to his purple. Jared didn't know that I did it or whatever, but he finds out. So I get my black belt on a Friday. My first stripe on my black belt on a Friday. And Jared calls me up Saturday morning. He had knee surgery on it. He had meniscus cleaned up, which is not that big of a deal, right? We've all had meniscus issues. So, he calls me up and he's like, dude, I can't believe it. It's like you're trying to spit in my face. You're trying to ruin me. I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? He's like, you gave Joe Giuseppe a purple belt. I'm like, yeah, I did. I go, he's been doing privates for 2 years. And he's been coming to my classes and he's fucking good. He's like, no, looks like you're trying to fuck my business. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, no, you just validated him. I'm like, dude, Jared, nobody's going to drive from Brainerd to fucking Wadena to train with Joe Giuseppe when there's a black belt in Brainerd. And he's like, no, it just seems like you're trying to fuck with me. I'm like, he goes, and Dave's got this rule where it's got to be a 60-mile radius from schools. I'm like, dude, well, I don't know. I didn't know that this was such a big deal. He's like, no. I'm like, well, I'll cut affiliations with Joe. Oh, you would do that for me? I'm like, yeah. If that's what I got to do, I go, it's not like I'm trying to fuck you over. So I call up Joe Giuseppe. I'm like, Joe, I'm really fucking sorry, but I can't affiliate your gym anymore. I guess Dave's got the 60th rule, and and Jared's really upset with it, about it, and I go, it's gonna be a lot easier if you just do your own thing. I'll still come down and train with you, but I can't affiliate you. He's like, well, how am I going to get my guys ranked? I'm like, I don't know. And I completely understand if you got to go with Pedro Sauer, or if you want to go with Greg, or if you want to go with somebody else. I go, you almost have to. And he's like, oh, well, that really sucks. But he goes, I understand. I get it. And he goes, no worries, but I still want you to come down. I still want you to come down and do seminars. I'll still pay you to come down. I'm like, yeah, I know. It fucking sucks. I'm like, all right, bye. And I hung up the phone with him, and I felt so fucking dirty. Like, if he would have been like, fuck you, I'd have been like, yeah, fuck you too. You know? But he was so nice about it. I'm like, I hung up, and I just felt fucking dirty. You know? It's like...
in the bad way.
Yeah. And I'm like, I called him right back. I called him right back. I'm like, Joe? He's like, yeah. I go, fuck it. Never mind. I'm still going to affiliate you. I go, this is bullshit. I go, I'll deal with Jared.
And I mean, Joe Giuseppe, who, I mean, he's one of my best friends. I've trained with him forever. And I mean, he still drives to Brainerd. He drives to Brainerd from Wadena.
No, he's not even living in Wadena. He lives fucking
farther than Wadena, in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
And he still drives down to come to my class.
Park Rapids.
Not even like a...
That's a fucking haul.
Yeah.
It's a haul. Yeah.
It's like closer to go to Fargo.
Yeah.
And like... yeah, I mean, he's just a guy he has no aspirations.
Right.
He just wants to get better at everything in his life.
Yeah.
He's a fucking amazing dude.
Yeah.
So,
Watch it. I watched him like level up as a corner. That those fights was at Little Falls or something like that.
Oh, probably.
Anyway,
he was in my corner in my fight. Yeah. I was like, Brock's like, hey, I want Joe to corner you
Yeah.
too, because it was gonna be Tony and Brock and then Joe, and I was like, you want Joe to corner me? He goes, yeah, he's gonna fucking die. And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
He's gonna fucking die?
Yeah, he cornered
And he's
me
like-
too. He cornered me that night too.
What's that?
He cornered me that night too.
Right, but yeah, he's like, yeah, we just want Joe to corner everybody because he's gonna die. Because we thought he was gonna fucking die. Like he has like something wrong. Like he's got like a fucking traumatic brain injury,
upper
and
lobe
like,
dementia,
like he
something.
was like
We don't fucking know.
going to fucking die.
He got
Like,
diagnosed.
had,
He got
like,
misdiagnosed, but
well, kind of misdiagnosed, but then he like totally changed his life. He like lives in the middle of the woods now. He fucking like, yeah, and like he's fine-ish. I mean,
it's still fucking crazy.
Yeah, he's crazy. He's a
but-
shithouse rat, actually.
But,
But I was
yeah,
impressed by that guy's cornering.
yeah, no, he's a good corner.
he is a good corner.
Yep.
And so that happens.
So
So
Jared
I
tells
said-
you got to get rid of Joe, and you were like,
Right.
fuck that, not gonna happen.
And going now it's Saturday, so I got my black belt stripe on Friday. Saturday, Jeremy Anderson is getting promoted to black belt, so I drive down to the cities. And Jeremy Anderson, if you remember back in the story, he's the one that stepped in and cornered me in my last UFC fight when Jared pulled out and put me in a spot. So, good friend of mine, he was another one of those that moved to train MMA, and he's a national champion from Augsburg, wrestler, and
Super fucking tough.
great dude. And so I usually don't give two shits about promotions as far as, oh, I got to be there. But this was a big deal to me and obviously for him. And black belts are a big deal. So I'm going to make an effort. And so I go down there, and Jared won't talk to me. I said, hey, that was pretty cool because he did this amazing like black belt demonstration where he's jumping around, doing flying. It's fucking awesome. It was like a 15-minute like thing about defending yourself. It was awesome. And I'm like, oh, that was pretty cool, huh? He's like, yes, sir. He's starting yes, sir, no, sir to me. And
You're in
that
trouble then.
was the last time he ever talked to me. That was 5 years ago. I called him. I texted him. I said, hey, let's figure it out. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. But just nothing. No response.
First grade. That's fucking sad.
Never talked to me again, okay? So I went 2 years where I was still sending people, because I get messages all the time. Hey, my daughter wants to go train jiu-jitsu. Where should she go? Hey, my son wants to do it. Hey, I want to get in shape. Where should I go? You know, like, oh, go to MIQ. Go to MIQ. Everyone. Not send one person to Rob. Not a fucking single person. I'm still kind of thinking Rob's an asshole. Then I started to figure out I'm the fucking asshole.
So it was kind of around this time. So it was like right around the Manoff fight,
Yeah.
where, like
Oh yeah. So yes.
that, like, because I hadn't been training for months, six months. I hadn't fucking done anything.
So the Manoff fight I'm still training with Jared, but it's at MIQ, and he begs me to let him corner. To please let me corner you. I'm like, well, fucking still this day pisses me off because Luke couldn't corner me. He had something going on, and he couldn't corner me, and I'm like,
And where did that fight take? Where was
Malaysia?
Yeah.
No, Singapore.
Okay.
Really, nobody knows the difference.
Singapore
Between
is
those two
way
places.
more
Sort of
beautiful.
Navy or some shit.
Singapore is way more beautiful than Malaysia. Singapore's
Was that the?
rich.
Was that the?
Yes. 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 Tap. So he begs me to go. That's a very high profile fight, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna bring Luke, and he's like, oh fuck Luke, and like seriously, it was like Luke doesn't know what he's doing. And I'm like, then Luke can't go. So I'm like, okay, you're in. So and we do that, and then. Yeah, so that was a part that we left out about that whole thing, and then after that,
Jared cornered you for
never
the Manoff fight.
Manoff fight.
Okay,
Yep.
so that's when Brock called me and said, "Hey, can you start teaching my class on Wednesday at the performance.
Yeah, we never
compound.
got in about the dirty shit that he is doing to you about the cafe, and like.
So, which we're not going to probably get into now, but yeah. So he says, can you start teaching my class on Wednesdays? And I was like, well, fuck, I haven't trained in 6 months. My gi doesn't fit. I'm fat as fuck, but. Yeah, anything for you, let's do it. So I started teaching his class on Wednesdays. I started working with Luke. I lost fucking, 50 pounds. Took a while. But right during that time period, I'm starting to fucking figure out hey, maybe me and Jared are on the outs, right? Up to this point.
Right.
After he started MIQ, I was just like, oh, thank God, I'm super fucking busy.
Right.
I don't have time to, do this anymore. And then, I was on fucking Facebook one day, and Jared Fearman came up in my fucking people you might know queue. And I was like, people you might know? I started his fucking Facebook account. His fucking password is Raptor1.
It probably still is.
I'm sure. Raptor1. I was like, what the fuck? You unfriended me? You fucking unfriended me from fucking Facebook?
And a lot of that, I mean, we're back to when I was working there. People would follow me over there sometimes. Right? They were never they weren't drinkers at all. But
oh yeah, you're like we're gonna have a celebrity bartender, but it's gonna be all athletes who want fucking water. Woo.
And so that one time we're having the UFC party over there.
Yes.
And it's a big deal. I'm trying to sell this shit, and Jared has this big speech where he says nobody can drink. So we're going to this bar. Jared also comes in and makes fucking him give us a separate VIP room.
Yeah.
So these guys, him and fucking Phil, put aside this whole fucking VIP room, and before we leave, before they go over there, make sure nobody drinks. We can't. So we're going to a bar. We got our own special area. Nobody drinks anything but fucking water, and there's probably.
The place is packed. I'm paying $1,200 to watch the UFC at the bar, and I have a room that seats.
What fight was that?
Anderson Silva.
Anderson Silva
versus Forrest Griffin.
Was it Griffin or?
I think I was there for that.
But it was okay. So it was pretty much impossible for the bar to make money off of those fights anyway, but you have this room. The time before, the Larson family took the VIP room, spent $800, and it was awesome,
Right.
And then we got the fucking MIQ guys coming over, and their $27 tab was. Yeah, that totally took care of it. Yeah, it was rough. It was a rough time period.
Yeah.
But then after I got the whole I got unfriended on Facebook, I realized, oh shit.
Yeah. So
I always say that Brock and Jared got divorced. Brock got custody of me.
Yeah, I got Matt in the divorce. So I'm gonna sum this all up. So this brings us to our present time, basically. So now, but then at some point I realized, like I said, for 2 years I was still sending people over to MIQ. Mark Hummel was going to fight, and he was talking to me, and he wanted to come up and train. I'm like, yeah, you can come up and train. Meanwhile, they've got 5 students at UMA. Mark Hummel's teaching, right? And I start to realize that Rob isn't the asshole. I'm the fucking asshole.
Right.
Rob bought a school for $85,000 fucking dollars. His instructor quit. This motherfucker, this asshole, took every fucking student he had and opened a fucking school.
I was part of that.
Not only did Rob pay $85,000, he also, his insurance company, fucking lost a workman's comp case to fucking Jared, which paid, maybe he didn't pay anything, maybe he paid something. I'm not going to say anything about it.
I was also a part of that.
I'm not going to say
Whoopsie daisy.
financially about anything there. So, Jared sold the school in 2 years, made $85,000, got a possible insurance claim for workman's comp, plus got $10,000 from my buddy Wagner's. Fucking moves away for a year, comes back, gets that same fucking school with more students, and Brock hands it over to him and helps him fucking teach his classes, and then Brock then is the asshole, and then he tells people that, hey, no, Brock fucking stole money from me, he fucking broke my leg, Brock is a fucking thug, he's a fighter that, I mean, one thing about Jared,
you are a thug,
is that he will tell you what he thinks you'll believe. So if you're a big strong guy, okay, so yeah, Brock fucking hates weightlifters, and he's like, he doesn't like anybody that's in better shape than him. Anybody that looks bigger than him intimidates him, and that's why he fucking doesn't like you. And that's fucking, he's fucking that way. And you're like, oh geez, God, why is he not like me? Well, it's because you're better than him at, you look better than him, and like, oh fuck. He goes to Matt Taylor, yeah, Brock doesn't like fucking drug dealers. He doesn't like drugs. So, so that's why I got to go to. I don't want Brock to know that I'm going to fucking California to grow marijuana. All right, and then he goes to Jess and says, "Jess, why? What's happened with you and Brock? Oh, he broke my leg because he's mean. I told him I hurt my knee, and I was getting the better of him and rolling, and he grabbed my leg and fucking broke it." And Jess is like, oh my God, I can't fucking believe it. But people fucking believe him. He told fucking Tat Romero a story about fucking another student and about me, and he believed it. And he tells everybody, if people just do what me and Matt did and compare stories, everybody would know that the motherfucker is so manipulative. He's so good at knowing what you want to believe and what you will believe that he tells you that. And for years he did that to me. I mean, he played me like a fucking fiddle. I was the kingpin in his entire play. From the day he sold that fucking school for $85,000, I still this day believe that this was his plan, was to sell the school and then 2 years later fucking get it back and get $85,000 for the school, and then have his school back, possibly in better shape than what it was when he sold it. You think about, he made most likely.
And it sucks because like when it's all said and done, you're like, I'm a sucker.
Yeah, I'm the fucking guy. Matt's the fucking guy.
Right.
Wag's the guy.
Right.
We're the guys that held it all the fucking together.
And it's not just me and Brock and Wags, Rob Nelson, and fucking and the list goes on and on. There is, I mean, like Josh Holtz,
Josh Holtz helped him build that MIQ school.
Yeah,
was there till 6 a.m. putting mats in.
Yep. I mean, we could literally base an entire 12-step fucking program over people who are recovering from Jared Fairbairn. And like, the thing is that I still kind of fucking love the guy, Like, he's super charismatic. He's got this fucking, like, pixie dust that, like, is super hard to find. And he's an amazing martial artist. But he also...
And by all reports, a really good teacher.
Yeah, it's a super good teacher.
Yeah.
Super good teacher.
He's got, he's got a lot of shit going for him.
Yeah. Right. In the same way that he manipulates me, you, everybody else, is the same way he teaches. He's able to communicate because he knows kind of how you think and how you respond. Like, I know people, like, Now, we're not going to bring religion into this because that's a whole other thing. But
I am right now. Like, there's a fucking reason that David Koresh, like, had a fucking, like, 75 women that were fucking him because, like...
Well, I mean, in a different manner. Jared doesn't believe in God. At least he tells me he doesn't believe in God. I believe in God, but he will tell... I mean, I've got family that train there, and he's a fucking pastor. And do you think my fucking cousin would be fucking training there against a guy who doesn't believe in fucking God? Have his kids, but he will play that. He'll be
right. He'll be whatever you need him to be. Yes.
He'll 100%. Tell you dolphins are fucking magical. He'll tell you that fucking.
I mean, dolphins are fucking magical. That's where I draw the line. That's just saying like water's wet. Right. Come on. I mean, dolphins are fucking magical shit.
It'll be whatever it is that you believe it's gonna be, and he's gonna make it true. And you're going to believe him. And you want to believe him because we want it to be true. And so he's so good at manipulating the situations and doing things to people. And, I mean, I go back. Here's another perfect example. Telling me to say no to Dave Camarillo about the fucking affiliation. He told me to say no because he ruined his life. He comes back. Dave's the affiliation. That motherfucker comes in the white horse. Hey, look, Dave, look at me. I'm bringing you back to Brainerd. Brock's a fucking piece of shit. He didn't want you. I want you. And part of the reason why I think he wanted me out, so he could put that exact system in that he told me why he had to leave. Because right now, you can go look on Facebook.
They got
belts. 500 fucking belts before you get the blue belt. You got the blue stripe. You got the black and white stripe. You got the fucking you got all.
And I mean, we talked about it earlier. Like, jiu-jitsu is a fucking very challenging sport to like continue to be engaged in because like everybody wants a pat on the back. But, bro, you got to go a couple years before your pat comes. And we forever never even did stripes. No stripes, right?
Well, that was like the Dave way.
You were a white belt until you were a blue belt. You could be – it didn't matter if it was day 1 to, day 700 and you were still a white belt. Like, and there's a big difference between somebody who is day 1 and somebody who's been training for 2 fucking years but isn't quite a blue belt yet. There's a huge difference, like the difference between life and death. But we didn't have any recognition for that. Now we actually do striping because it's the way almost all
system,
all fucking actual like legitimate academies do. But jiu-jitsu is a tough sport to continue to be able to like stay motivated to do, and but I think, or we all have thought, that it was kind of like a bastardization of what it was to like introduce a bunch of fucking new bullshit in between. Who wants fucking 47 belts in between? But now you got fucking white belt with a blue stripe and fucking
white belt with 2 blue stripes, a 50-50 white and blue. I mean,
the fuck is fuchsia accents?
Because if you look back at it now, back at it, he got mad at me. Not because Joe Jaceki got his purple belt. He got mad at me because he needed me out of there because in order for him to put the system in that he wanted to, I couldn't be there. Because the reason why he left Rob was because of that system that is now in place at his school. So I might have asked a couple questions I thought this was fucking screwing your integrity. I thought fucking Dave was ruining you and Rob was ruining you and that's why you left. No, because he's a fucking cocksucker and he fucking lied to me straight up and took my loyalty to the fucking next level and made me into the pawn and made me ruin Rob's school and fuck everybody in the process, including my fucking friends and everybody who was loyal to me, and turn around and fucking shit in everybody's Wheaties, and he comes out smelling like a fucking rose because I'm not willing to fucking call him out and fucking say, hey fucker, this is all a lie, because he by the time I knew 2 years, he had already built this wall around himself about how I was his villain and how I was evil. So now I mean, it's perfect politics. Now, if I say, hey, fuck you, now it's the big bad bully Brock, the MMA guy, picking on the poor jiu-jitsu guy. He's already painted himself as such a victim in my eyes that I've stole from him. I stole students from him. I've done all this shit
And-
that I couldn't at that point say fuck you, because then it's proving what he's saying is true, that I am the bully, that I am the bad guy, that I am the dick, you know? And so until now, nobody knew what the fuck happened except for what Jared told them. And now, motherfuckers know. And the way he
Well,
manipulated
five people know.
the 5 followers that we got here, but they're all sleeping. But the way he, looking back, the way he manipulated even just the Dave thing, just that little part of it, saying, no, Brock, don't do it, to now being the white horse of Dave. No, Dave, look at me. Look at Brock's a piece of shit. He didn't want your affiliation for free. Look, and I mean, I haven't talked to Dave for 4 years. He's the fucking guy that gave me my fucking black belt. Talked to Dan, his brother, Camarillo, but I don't talk to Dave. And still talk to Clint. But it's just the way that.
But
whole
it's
thing
weird
went
how
down.
like so many other guys, like higher level guys, like through the years have kind of like figured it out.
Right.
You know, Damien and you know,
Right.
like Greg Nelson and everything. Like they've just kind of come to like realize like
Right.
it's fucked up.
Yeah, and you know, I think they all kind of put him on that same categories that I did. Was like, he's crazy, but you know,
He's talented.
right? And,
Yeah.
and he's harmless.
Right.
And when you look from all the years and all the shit that we did together, and the way it all is now, looking from the outside in, it was amazing, fucking genius. I wish I could fucking do that.
Right. Right.
You know, I mean, the money he made doing it, and now he's sitting in the same spot where he's got his sister that's kicking ass, and she's awesome, and then with the way he's got the kids program going, I mean, they're doing a good job, but eventually,
Well, there's no two ways about the fact that Jared does a good job.
Right.
Like he is a talented instructor. He's an amazing athlete. And he knows how to like run this crazy thing. It's not about that. It's about the way he manipulated everybody to like
Everybody.
get that. That's fucked up. I mean, including myself. I
Right.
mean, like deeply, and it's like it sucks to like realize that you are just a piece, just a pawn
in
in
the
a
Yeah.
game. It's like that's fucking bullshit, and that's like when you like Brock and I have never. Brainerd was off limits after
Right.
the Jared thing. He was training in St. Cloud. I started training down in St. Cloud after the Manoff fight. Like, Brainerd was just, like, dead to us. Like, we would never come here. And then how long ago was it? A year ago? 2 years ago?
It's
been almost 2 years
Mark
ago.
Hummel fighting, and I started talking to him about Rob, and I started to realize I started on this rant.
Was it about 2 years ago?
Yeah, and I realized that I was the asshole, and why was I being loyal to Jared still
Right.
when he hadn't talked to me for 2 years?
Because Mark was, like, teaching at UMA. They only had about 5-6 students.
Yeah.
And then and was like, God, I wish you'd come up and teach a class at UMA in Brainerd. And you were like, no, absolutely not, zero. But then after a little while, you realize like, why? Why the
Right.
fuck won't I come teach in Brainerd? Why
Right.
am I afraid of teaching in Brainerd?
Right.
Like, what do I have to fear?
Right.
Teaching in Brainerd. And then come to find out, oh, Rob Nelson's not a fucking asshole. No, Rob Nelson's actually like a super
He'll give you the back,
good
fucking shoulder, or fucking
totally give you the shirt
off
off
his fucking back.
Totally give you the shirt off his back. And then then you made the transition from doing the performance compound to doing Start BJJ.
Yep.
And Start BJJ was looking for affiliates, kind of like that was part of it. And then Rob became an affiliate of Start BJJ. But that was a huge hurdle or huge.
Why?
Yeah, I
Why in
mean
the road?
to go from fucking like Brock and I just would we would do nothing in Brainerd as far as jiu-jitsu went.
Well,
And
remember
then-
we had the Paper Street?
other than the Paper Street gym. That was great.
Fuck, you're not supposed to talk about Paper Street.
That,
Is that the first rule of Paper Street?
There's no Paper Street.
that was we had a little
Secret.
secret gym in the back of Brandon Knotzel's tattoo
Life-
shop,
One Life.
One Life Tattoo, and we called it the Paper Street Gym. It was fucking great. I like.
Yeah,
I fucking designed a logo and everything. It was like the bar of soap and everything. I mean, it's so good.
that was
But
fun.
it sucked for me because like.
As Brock.
Well, nobody
Brandon,
could come.
Luke.
Nobody could come unless you like knew about it.
Right.
Right. So it was Brock and Brandon Knotzel, who's a fucking monster. Luke Popham, who's a fucking monster. Matt Taylor, not a monster. That was like
Holtz.
Oh, okay.
Tuma.
Holt. Oh, and Tuma, who's maybe not a monster, but is huge and kind of a monster.
He can be a monster. He's just usually a soft monster.
He
It's a friendly monster. He's like
he bruised my
Monsters-
esophagus
he's like
one
one of the
time so
Monster
bad,
Inc. monster.
and not in the good way. Oh my God, that was a bad one.
Yeah, it's fucking brutal.
Well, I was actually working on my computer, and he was like, "I really, really want to choke you right now." There was some drinking involved. We were at the Target Center. Was at Target Center fights, and we were in the hotel room, and I was like doing some shit on the computer, and he's like, "I really, really want to choke you right now," and it's like, "What's stopping you?" Apparently nothing. So he fucking like, and
Apparently, you're fucking
just
esophagus.
bruised the shit out of my esophagus. It was horrible.
Yeah.
But I guess what
Yeah.
I was saying was that like then we went from the performance compound, then Brock got the Start BJJ,
Yeah.
started
Affiliated-
that,
started fucking rock
affiliated,
and roll with
and
that.
then we moved into Brainerd, and then Brock called me up one day and said, "Hey, how would you like to be the instructor at UMA?" And I was like, "No, UMA." And he's like, "No, that's what I think you're gonna do."
No, you kind of have to.
Kind of gotta, because he didn't want to, and I get it. Like Brock didn't want to have like an affiliation gym that didn't have like a qualified instructor, and not that Mark Hummel is a bad instructor. He was,
Right.
like Mark's great, but he's a blue belt, and like it just there's shit you learn along the way, and yeah, and it's been good. We've been doing good, and,
Yeah.
and now Jay Gould, who is one of Brock's black belts, comes up and teaches on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
So
and
you guys got 2 black belts teaching, 3 black belts in the
well,
school.
2 teaching,
Two
and then
teaching.
we got Daryl just
Daryl-
killing everybody.
Daryl the enforcer,
Blah.
and and then we got the 2 up in St. Cloud, and then we've got black belts in every location, so it's all 4 locations, so it's pretty good. But I mean that was the big step, and now I think we're fucking doing much better than the competition here in town.
Well, I don't know about that, but you're doing much better than the competition there, though. But no, it's been a good road, and the thing is that like martial arts always has this like weird, fucking political,
Yeah.
like catty, fucking feudal side to it.
It's only like at the base of half the karate movies in the world.
Well, no,
Like,
totally.
movies
It
and shit.
totally is.
And I mean, look at Bruce Lee's life.
Right.
It's like these. It's
Right.
It's not something
it's
new.
He had to create his own system because he wanted to be able to fucking wrist lock people while he hit them. I mean,
so it's like I get that part of it, and that's fine. It's fine that like certain schools want to go in different directions, but there's a difference between that and then being like a fucking asshole and like
Right.
and a bad friend and like
Right. And
like
manipulating
a
you and just
manipulative asshole.
fucking
And
taking
like,
advantage of like I always figure like I'm a fucking loyal guy to a fault, and
To a ridiculous fault.
he takes people's and he knows he's good at figuring you out, and he takes your weakness and he takes your strength. Like he knows like my strength is loyalty, and he knows fucking everybody knows this about me for the most part. Like I won't say no. If I can, my fucking dad or mom or someone told me once, if you can help somebody and it doesn't hurt you or cost you money, do it.
if your wife will let you, do
Right.
it.
And like it's
goes
kind of my
before
model. As long as it doesn't hurt somebody and it doesn't cost me money, why the fuck not help somebody?
Right.
You know? And fuck, I'll do that for anybody. And if my friends ask me, "Hey Brock, I need this," I'm gonna fucking do it. And I mean, I drove to fucking Kansas City back and forth in one day to corner one of my guys. I'm gonna do that. And Jared knows that, and he used that to a T to get what he needed. And he didn't give a fuck on who he hurt or who he ran over in the process. As long as he got his $100,000, he's happy.
Yeah.
And you know, but the good
Well, it's
thing
kind of
is,
a cathartic experience. Go.
I was just saying, the good thing about it is it took me almost my entire lifetime to figure it out. But once I got it figured out and I seen the big picture, I'm like, oh my God, I've got to fix it. And now I've went and it's helped me in a lot of ways because I'm still that same guy. I still am going to help people. And he didn't deter me. In fact, it made me realize it even more that now I'm helping Rob to whatever we can do to get. I mean, I'm making fucking Matt Taylor teach. I'm making Jay teach. I mean, we're gonna do it, and we're gonna have the best school in fucking Brainerd because we have the best people. He's not a good person. He will let everybody in the world think he is, but inside he's that cheating son of a bitch that screwed over who I thought was one of my best friends.
Right.
And I always thought he'd have my back because I always had his. And
I was gonna say it's a very cathartic experience to actually talk about the shit out loud because like this is stuff we've been talking about for.
I'm a little bit of a shit talker, but I'm not gonna try to drag someone's name through the mud. And I've never been in the position to be able to do that because I don't want to come off like a bully. But because you can't have a 4-hour fucking conversation with someone telling them why me and Jared don't hang out anymore. So we got the platform for it.
And you seldom drink.
right. So yeah. So go on. What do you got? What do you got?
That was
you
it.
You were saying
that's
something.
No, that's exactly what I was saying.
Yeah.
I was saying it's really like it's hard to like have this conversation about like something so like we're talking about like we're talking about like really like I mean between the like a solid chunk of our lives.
Yeah. And you can't
dealing
really,
with this stuff, and it's hard to like have that conversation, but it's kind of cathartic to like.
But you almost need two people
Yeah.
to have the conversation, because I gotta say something, and then you have to say it too, and then just so you can tell how intertwined it is, you tell your story and my story, and they're so far off. But they were the same exact time.
Well, right.
And
right.
But
because I can tell you about
one
the
he's
time
growing
when
marijuana, one he's fucking training.
I can tell you about the time when Jared went off to California to grow weed, and you can tell me about when he went to work for the CIA.
Right.
Exactly. Awesome. Well, what do you
And
think?
I think fucking Kyle was a fucking great. I mean, I thought he was gonna pass out for sure by the time we get done with this story.
I have several times.
He's got sleep apnea.
Yeah.
It happens.
We're gonna talk about it on the show one of these.
We
days.
are one of these days.
Yeah. So we're gonna have to fucking come back and maybe talk about something other than Jared.
Yeah, because I want to talk about some of your crazy childhood stories.
Oh God.
Yeah. I want you to.
Which ones?
I
Does it have
want.
to
I
do
want.
with me
I want
going
you.
to jail, or,
well, maybe those.
or-
Yeah, I want you to tell a story about the time you had to save your brother from drowning.
No, it wasn't my brother.
Yeah, it was your brother.
Nope.
And
Chad
okay,
McKay,
whatever.
Dan Smoody,
Whatever.
and
We'll
Tony
put
Banker.
Pin in it.
Okay.
That
Okay.
story.
Okay.
Which, like, I have like a partial book like in mind.
Yeah,
of
yeah.
Me telling I wanna write a book.
What about my brother choking a cow, Dad?
Yeah, that's in
I mean,
there
that's
too.
one of them.
Yeah. I want to write a book of me telling stories about Brock's childhood. Not stories about Brock's childhood. Me telling stories about Brock's childhood.
That sounds like it might be a fun audiobook.
Oh, it would only be audio, of course. But like the truth may
Yeah,
or
it's a
may
little
not
stretched
be
a little bit.
there.
It's kind of like Pub Onion.
yeah.
Let that shit get in the way of a good
Never
story.
never let the truth get in the way of a good story.
Right.
Which, speaking of the truth, never mind. I have one minute detail that I need to clear up from the last episode.
Oh, fuck.
40,000 years.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
40,000 years. Neanderthals started disappearing 40,000 years ago.
My sister put a fucking thing on Facebook. Was like, you need fucking somebody to sit there with a computer because you guys are horrible. Your science is completely off. You're like, yeah, the agricultural revolution and the fucking Neanderthals happened about the same time. What the fuck are we talking about? We have no idea what we're talking about.
It's because we're fucking spitball.
Exactly. Which means we're spitballing.
We're just throwing shit out there.
Right. Doesn't matter if it's true. If it sticks to the wall. Great.
Opinions expressed on this podcast may or may not be our opinions even. We're just throwing shit out there.
I don't even agree with myself like
No, fuck.
half the time.
Like, that's why I'm like, I say shit and I'm like, did I fucking say that? I'm like, Kyle.
Could have.
you know.
But, whatever.
Yeah, fuck.
Fucking A.
Well, that was fun.
That was fun. Thanks for having me, guys. Love you guys.
Right on.
Talk it out. We're talking
Oh, Jesus Christ. Is anybody still with us? If you are, congratulations. He made it to the end of the marathon 3.5 hour Brock Larson part 2. I didn't realize it was that long. Thanks for sticking with us. It was a little bit of a tough episode, getting into some personal shit here, but I guess that's what we're doing. We're just spitballing. So tonight we're going to bring you out with a song by a good friend of mine named Seth Dowd. His sister Jessica got married this weekend. I missed it because I was muddling mojitos. But yeah, she married Brett Williams. I've known both of them for it seems like a lifetime, and I just want to wish them the best. And this is a song by Jess's older brother, Seth, who I've known for many, many years. It's called Bended Knee. It's one of my favorites off his 2011 album. Check it out. Good night.
Falling down on bended knees, praying I got a place back home. Roaming empty, roaming free, looking for my gal with a bottle of whiskey. And all the while I am alone, trying to find the sunny side in every little place I've gone. And I miss my gal, I need her now to come and pull me from the pouring rain. Of all the times spent in my mind, I know I ain't the same. I think it's time to take the bottle and drown all the thoughts are inside the brain. all I've got's an old snapshot, smileless stickers, and a faded old postcard. A ribbon and some memories of snow angels and a walking through the trees. And all the while I am alone, trying to find the sunny side and never little broke down. So, and I miss my gal. I need her now to come and pull me from the pouring rain of all the times spent in my mind. I know I ain't the same. I think it's time to take a bite and drown all the thoughts are inside my brain. Oh Lord, and I don't think I'll ever find what it is that's trapped inside my mind. It's another life, another time, a lie, a dream of what was never mine. And all the while I am alone, trying to find the sunny side in every little place I've gone. And I miss my gal. I need her now to come and pull me from the pouring rain of all the times spent in my mind. I know I ain't the same. I think it's time to take a bottle and drown all the thoughts are inside my brain.
It's because we're fucking spitballs.